Legendary warrior emerges, his eyes blazing with defiance as unseen voices question his identity. Soh Wol, once the war god, now fights to reclaim his lost power and save his shattered world. A legendary martial artist, long thought dead, awakens into a world ravaged by cults. Soh Wol emerges from the darkness into a bright archway, and unseen voices question his identity, wondering if they truly know who he is. He then coolly kicks a fallen enemy, demanding to know who dared call for the sect leader, acting like he owns the place, which frankly he probably does. Just then, the sect leader Jo Gi-young appears in the doorway, absolutely enraged at being summoned by a no-name like this. Jo Gi-young screams that he'll tear our guy limb from limb, promising to feed him to dogs as his hand glows with ominous power. Soh Wol, completely unfazed by the threat, leans back impossibly far, dodging a vicious claw strike aimed right at his face. The attack whizzes past, leaving the sect leader shouting in confusion, completely baffled by the impossible evasion. Our hero gives a mocking smile as another frantic claw strike misses him entirely. He's simply enjoying the show. Jo Gi-young continues to scream about being mocked with cheap tricks, chasing his slippery opponent around the room. Then in a flash, Soh Wol delivers a powerful counterstrike, sending the angry sect leader staggering backward. He lands another heavy blow, sending Jo Gi-young flying back and crashing hard against the wall. The sect leader lies dazed on the stone floor, trying to recover as Soh Wol lands gracefully nearby. He lectures the defeated leader about his miserable life and impending death, really rubbing it in. Then our guy raises his hand, now glowing with a golden light, ready to deliver the final killing blow. Suddenly, Jo Gi-young, with a shocked expression, catches Soh Wol's wrist, somehow stopping the attack mid-strike. Our hero immediately recognizes the technique, noting that it had completely disappeared 20 years ago. He states he killed the last person who used this very technique 2 decades ago, hinting at a much deeper, bloodier past. As Jo Gi-young desperately demands to know his identity, Soh Wol reveals his true name, declaring himself Mushin, the legendary war god. Soh Wol ignores the unsettling noise, stepping forward as the true test begins. Jo Gi-young screams, lunging with a glowing golden palm strike at Mushin's face, completely blinded by rage. He just can't believe this man is the war god. The martial god effortlessly dodges the blow, as Jo Gi-young snarls a wild boast, claiming he's equal to a divine being if this really is Mushin. The bearded man taunts him to fight back properly, his aggression fueled by denial, missing all the obvious signs of true power right in front of him. Then the Mushin casually catches Jo Gi-young's glowing fist with his bare hand, stopping the attack cold, all its force completely contained. Jo Gi-young's eyes widen as the war god holds his fist. The impact never lands and he just stares in disbelief. Real dignified stuff. But our hero counters, landing a powerful punch to Jo Gi-young's face, making blood spray as the defeated man spews threats about eliminating anyone who knows of the Serpent's Blood cult. The Mushin delivers another critical blow to Jo Gi-young's torso, punching straight through his guard, causing a massive, painful shockwave and even more blood to erupt. Completely broken, Jo Gi-young collapses to his knees, his mind unable to grasp that the war god could still be alive after all these years. The warrior stares down at Jo Gi-young, still in shock, and says his fate won't change either way. The fight's just over. In a final, desperate act, the bearded fighter grabs the war god's leg, screaming that he'll drag him down to the underworld with him. The Mushin delivers a final, decisive strike to Jo Gi-young's head, ending the confrontation in a gruesome explosion of blood. Silence fills the air as the warrior stands over his fallen foe, blood pooling around the body, before he turns, ready for the next challenge. With determined eyes, the war god issues an open challenge to the assembled forces, declaring anyone who doubts his authority should step forward and fight him now. He then turns and walks away, his silhouette framed against a bright archway, leaving the stunned crowd to ponder his devastating display of power. Our hero, Soh Wol, steps through the archway, his journey just beginning as he leaves behind the defeated cult and faces the wider world, ready for whatever comes next. The war god finds only silence before the mist begins to stir. From the righteous sects, Swordmaster Soh Wol once rose to lead his people, while across the divide, the devil cultivator Dan Gak rallied the wayward cults, creating a volatile peace between their factions. But the fragile truce shattered with a horrifying discovery when Dan Gak's own son, Dan Myung-woo, was found brutally burned and decapitated, and the cult's fury ignited, demanding vengeance. The subsequent investigation pointed to Baek Sun Moon of the sect as the killer, a revelation that fueled the cult's rage and sparked a great war that would engulf the land. Dan Gak himself, leading the cult coalition, was overwhelmed by a burning desire for retribution against the sect, and with that, the battle lines were irrevocably drawn. Now, 20 years later, Soh Wol looks up through the rustling leaves of the forest canopy, quietly considering the passage of time since that epic conflict began. A ponytail-wearing disciple walks up to him on the path, curiosity clear in his voice, as he asks the legendary warrior what he's thinking about. The Mushin tells him that this year marks 2 decades since the Great War between the sects and cults erupted, a moment he still recalls with a slight shake of his head. He admits that it feels like he just took a quick nap and woke up, barely noticing the 20 years that have already swept by. He describes fierce, shadowed battles where countless lives were lost on both sides, until Soh Wol's sword finally pierced Dan Gak's heart, turning the tide of the war. With their leader fallen, the cult forces scattered and fled to the distant Thousand Great Mountains, leaving the Murim coalition to control nearly 3/4 of the land. Our hero then offers to share more details about the conflict, but warns the youth that the official accounts are riddled with questionable gaps and holes. The disciple reacts with utter astonishment as the warrior reveals the biggest missing piece, his own sudden disappearance from the martial world 50 years prior. The young man quickly connects the dots, realizing the mention of a Shinsean, or immortal hermit, refers to the Mushin himself, and asks if it's true he vanished for 20 years. He confirms his identity, acknowledging that he disappeared without a trace. Yet the young man had recognized him almost instantly upon their first meeting, which is quite impressive. A silhouette of him appears, recalling a past feat of incredible power when he walked alone into hostile territory to suppress the serpent's blood with a single strike. The disciple challenges his claims, aggressively demanding proof that he can withstand attacks like Soh Wol could, but the Mushin simply smirks, suggesting they settle it with action rather than words. Our hero stands on a rock outcrop, noting their good fortune with the clear weather. As usually, fog would have obscured the incredible view they now have. Below them lies their destination, the massive Murim coalition complex spread across the valley, and the disciple eagerly confirms their intent to proceed. With a determined expression, he agrees to the disciple's suggestion to head directly toward the coalition headquarters, his eyes fixed on the distant buildings. As he travels through the long night, he eventually gazes into the flames. Thinking about the Murim coalition's political games and the sacrifices they demand for what they call important work. Soh Wol's true motive burns bright, revenge for a world stolen from him. He knows this pursuit might turn him into an enemy of the very order he seeks to dismantle. Jo-gi-young, his companion, looks at him, accepting the dangerous path they are on, embracing him as a trusted ally for whatever lies ahead. Now a large crowd of hopefuls gathers at the Martial Arts Alliance gate, their faces full of aspiration, though many won't make it past the first hurdle. Jo-gi-young points out the sheer number of applicants and comments on how brutal the elimination rounds will be, making it clear only a few are chosen. It's a real meat grinder. A familiar face, Yang So-jul, steps up to Jo-gi-young, curiosity evident as he glances at the silent man beside him, asking for an introduction. Jo-gi-young smoothly introduces him as Mu-yeon, an independent martial artist with no major ties, subtly hiding the real history of his powerful friend. The scene then shifts to an exam arena stage, where an examiner dramatically pulls back a cloth, revealing the formidable test object for all to see. There, a massive obsidian-resistant stone sits, described as harder than steel itself, posing an insurmountable challenge to all who dare to try. An arrogant applicant, brimming with false confidence, brags loudly to the crowd that he will slice through the stone like it's soft tofu. He unleashes a powerful sword strike. Sparks erupt violently upon impact, yet the stone remains completely unscratched, mocking his efforts. Real dignified stuff. Yet a different warrior watches from the shadows, unimpressed by the failure before him. A nervous candidate plants his foot, gathering all his might for a powerful strike against the unyielding stone block. He screams, pouring every ounce of his spirit into the attack, hoping to prove his worth. But his effort is all for naught, as the impact reverberates back, causing him to shriek in agony, his arm throbbing from the futile blow, while the stone remains untouched, mocking his failed attempt. The examiner, a seasoned veteran with a weary expression, lets out a heavy sigh, a familiar disappointment etched on his face, lamenting the apparent lack of true talent, wondering if anyone will truly be able to pass this brutal test. Then Baekjin, the grandchild of the former leader Baek Sa-moon, steps forward with quiet confidence and a sharp glint in his eye, executing a precise swing with his sword, the blade cutting through the air with a clean, shocking sound that silences the murmuring crowd. The examiner approaches the stone, carefully measuring the depth of the sword's mark, then nods his approval, declaring Baekjin thoroughly qualified, marking a rare moment of success in the grueling examination. Whispers ripple through the onlookers, identifying the successful candidate as a key figure from a prominent lineage, musing that his family's reputation precedes him, adding another layer to the day's events. Next, a female candidate steps up, her movements fluid and almost ethereal as she wields a nearly invisible silver thread, and with a flick of her wrist, the thread lashes out, striking the stone with incredible precision. Observers speculate amongst themselves, wondering if sending all 3 grandchildren to the exam is a strategic political move or something more. highlighting the intricate web of power and diplomacy at play. The examiner, clearly impressed by her unique technique, extends a welcoming gesture, inviting her to join the sect, acknowledging her skill and officially passing her into the ranks of the qualified. The examiner then calls for the next applicant, and a figure with a casual demeanor, Soh Wol, steps into the arena, realizing it's his turn to face the challenge, a slight smile playing on his lips. Close-up reveals his eyes, deep and piercing, holding an extraordinary aura that hints at immense power lurking beneath his unassuming exterior. The air around him seems to thicken, a subtle display of his killing intent that few can perceive. Soh Wol then clenches his fist, a silent declaration that he will face this test without any weapon, relying solely on his own might, his knuckles whitening, his stance firm, ready to demonstrate his true power. His body, hardened by years of rigorous training, is stronger than steel, a living testament to the pinnacle of martial arts known as Shin, embodying a divine power, a force that transcends mere physical strength. With a thunderous roar, his fist connects with the indestructible stone, a moment of pure, unadulterated power unleashed, the impact sending shockwaves through the very ground, a clear demonstration of his overwhelming strength. The echo of that strike forces the onlookers to see Yon in a new light. From behind a scarlet curtain, Soh Wol peeks out, her gaze also drawn to the Grand Academy building where hushed murmurs ripple through the crowd. Several robed students are clustered together, all looking intently at Jo Gi-young, who stands stoically in the middle of their scrutiny. He maintains a serious and unreadable expression, his dark hair pulled back as the whispers about him grow louder, but his face gives nothing away. Students debate whether his choice to fight barehanded draws more attention than a sword would, their voices buzzing with speculation about his unusual style. His strange presence catches Soh Wol's wide, curious eyes from her hidden spot, watching the man who seems to magnetize every eye. The chattering continues, identifying him as the one who qualified with an impressive fist move, standing next to Woon Hyun from Cheongseong-pa. One student even scoffs, suggesting our guy probably just uses his fists because he never learned proper weapon training, a dismissive jab at his unique technique. Confident young warrior flashes a smile, wondering aloud who among them is truly the strongest, a playful challenge in his voice. The commentary continues, noting that even his simple presence and the way he carries himself seem to draw everyone's focus, like a beacon in the crowd. Soh Wol jumps back, startled, as she realizes our protagonist has moved right behind her without making a sound, his quiet approach completely unnoticed until now. She gets a heavy mission. As the coalition grows stronger, her own Beak Wall Moon sect is fading, so they must renew their old connections, a vital task for survival. Ayon, her mission now clear, is tasked with following him and applying to Chinso-dan, hoping to build a bridge between their factions. She confronts him directly, making him promise to succeed, declaring she won't leave him alone if he fails, her determination shining through. A booming voice finally announces that the Chinso-dan entrance exam is about to begin, ending the long wait and stirring excitement among the hopeful candidates. Then a powerful figure steps forward, introducing himself with an intimidating posture as Iron Law Lee Jeom, commanding the attention of everyone present. Candidates whisper in awe, speaking of the leader's legendary deeds, a man who single-handedly cut down countless evil cultivators with a single blade, real hero stuff. Lee Jeom warns them that this upcoming test is far more difficult than the preliminary exam they passed, designed to truly challenge their limits. He then reveals the first challenge, the mysterious trial of the five senses, leaving the candidates confused and uncertain about what awaits them. Confused candidates question how an exam could possibly start right there in the open courtyard, their voices filled with uncertainty. Small bomb-like objects suddenly drop and ignite with sparks, catching all the examinees off guard and plunging the courtyard into chaos. A massive detonation rips through the air, filling the entire screen with smoke and debris as screams of shock and confusion erupt from the crowd. As the smoke clears, Jo Gi-young's sharp, alert eyes narrow, sensing imminent danger in the now completely white-out conditions. A masked attacker emerges from the dense fog, declaring that the objective is obvious and anyone who fails to understand it will surely fall. Suddenly, a violent impact splatters blood from a victim, signaling the start of a brutal, hidden assault within the thick, blinding fog. But deep in the haze, Yon senses that something far more dangerous is waiting. Jo Gi-young stumbles, a groan escaping his lips as thick mist envelops him, stealing his breath and disorienting his senses. He squints through the swirling vapor, realizing too late that he's not alone. The fog conceals unseen foes, their presence a chilling promise of violence. A desperate plea forms on his lips as he calls out for Beak Ayon, his concern for her safety cutting through the confusion of the sudden ambush. Suddenly, a shadow lunges from behind the guy, a blade glinting in the gloom, forcing him into a desperate, last-second dodge to avoid a fatal blow. A fellow competitor, the skilled swordsman Beak Jin, then appears from the mist, offering a nod of approval for Gi Young's swift, defensive maneuver. Gi Young brushes off the compliment, explaining that he barely parried the attacks, the sheer number of opponents making every move a struggle. His ally warns him that these aren't just ordinary opponents. Even with wooden swords, their skill suggests they're professional killers, making the trial far more dangerous than it seems, which is just great. Before they can strategize, the false calm shatters as more assassins charge forward, their targets now clearly fixed on Baek Ah-yeon and the rest of the group. Elsewhere, cloaked in shadows, Soh Wol cryptically mentions someone named Yeon, his voice low and his intentions shrouded in mystery. Back in the fog, a taunting voice cuts through the mist, ridiculing the group for their apparent vulnerability, making Baek Ah-yeon visibly indignant. Gi Young squares his shoulders, his stance shifting into a serious combat pose as the unseen enemy closes in, signaling a much more brutal fight to come. With brutal force, an opponent's strike makes contact, completely shattering Gi Young's wooden sword and leaving him disarmed and vulnerable. Despite blood spraying from a sudden injury, Gi Young can't help but acknowledge the incredible skill of the enemy's reverse swing that just connected. As he struggles, unseen overseers coldly discuss the trial's mounting fatalities, deciding to increase the lethal requirement and tightening the noose around all participants. This desperate escalation leaves no room for error as Do-won begins his cold assessment. The stern leader, Do-won, chews out an official for a reckless plan, making it clear he's not happy with how things are going, saying he expected more from the candidates. He sits across from the official, explaining that most candidates were a huge disappointment, failing his standards, but a select few actually piqued his interest. This whole exam feels like a waste. The official breathes a sigh of relief, happy that at least some qualified individuals were found for the new Dan, so their efforts weren't completely for nothing. Meanwhile, inside their cramped lodging, a group of candidates gripes about the terrible food and rough sleeping conditions from the Murim coalition. Real luxurious treatment, this. Baek Ah-yeon turns to Soh Wol, sincerely thanking him, insisting she wouldn't have passed the grueling exam without his help fighting by her side in that foggy chaos. She explains how her extended thread got caught during the fight, leaving her completely defenseless against the approaching enemies, one wrong move away from doom. The scene flashes back to that chaotic battlefield where figures clash in dense fog, showing Baek Ah-yeon cornered and overwhelmed, a brutal test many didn't survive. In a simple wooden room at night, two twins laugh, crediting their entire success to the incredible sword skills of another candidate, Gi Young, truly impressed by what he did. Formal introductions are made, with the twins revealing their names as Jang Hyuk and Jang Hyun to their powerful new acquaintance. Good to make strong new allies. The conversation then shifts to the mysterious man, Soh Wol, who seemed to possess an uncanny ability to see through all that thick fog, his presence unsettling yet reassuring. Under a starry night sky on rocky terrain, Han So-jin confronts him, asking if he's just there to nag her again because she doesn't have time for his cryptic games. He vaguely claims his feet simply led him there after he heard someone nearby, denying any intention of nagging her, his words as indirect as always. The mysterious observer then compares So-jin's hiding spot to a frog leaping at a pebble, which clearly offends her, not exactly a flattering comparison. Angrily, she asserts that her true essence doesn't change, no matter what silly comparisons he makes, and formally states her name, refusing to let his metaphors define her. Her defiant declaration still hangs in the air as a stern voice interrupts the silence. A stern voice echoes through the training center, announcing the start of the next trial and instructing all participants to assemble quickly, leaving no room for dawdling. Many examinees, including the seasoned fighter Soh Wol, trudge into the vast training center, murmuring about how tired they are from the previous day's challenges, though he barely shows it. Ju Ji-yun, the examiner, stands before the seated students, formally introducing himself and explaining that this new challenge is the trial of understanding. He then presents a tray of Longjing tea, describing its premium quality and offering it as a calming beverage to help everyone relax before the true test begins. Many examinees, including Baek Ah-yeon, happily accept the tea, eagerly drinking it and praising its wonderful taste, completely unaware of what's to come. Our hero subtly leans towards Baek Ah-yeon, warning her to only touch the cup to her lips but not to drink from it, explaining that something else has been mixed in. Ju Ji-yun then smiles, confirming everyone enjoyed the tea, before dramatically revealing the real trial. They've all been poisoned and must now create an antidote from provided herbs. Examinees collapse, coughing up blood as the poison takes hold, instantly realizing the seemingly innocent tea was just a delivery method, real subtle. The examiner calmly explains the 30-minute deadline to find an antidote, detailing the severe consequences of failure and the available surrender options. Several examinees despair at the impossible task, knowing they must identify an unknown poison from countless possibilities while already feeling its effects. Baek-ah-yeon, still affected by the poison, confronts the seasoned fighter, asking how he knew the tea was poisoned and why he chose to warn her instead of keeping it a secret. He calmly states that he simply helped someone who needed saving, reaffirming his protective stance towards her. She then formally accepts his earlier offer of help, asking about his other skills beyond thread manipulation. Our hero kneels beside a poisoned examinee, noting body chill and blood flow symptoms. Baek-ah-yeon listens intently, her eyes narrow as she's piecing clues together fast. He delivers a detailed analysis, explaining how the tea's rich color masked the poison, and how the Murim coalition's non-lethal policy narrows down the 5 base poisons to just 2 possibilities. He explains that the key difference between the remaining 2 poisons is whether they affect Danshan resistance, confirming that his own body showed no such reaction despite drinking the tea. Baek-ah-yeon stares in complete shock, realizing he drank the poisoned tea without any ill effects, and questions his true identity, wondering if he has total immunity to poisons. As the silence of the room settles, Lee Jeom stands alone to face his growing doubts. Lee Jeom, burdened by duty, stands alone on a stone platform, contemplating the glaring weaknesses he sees within his ranks. Close-up reveals the fire in his eyes as he declares that Yang Chendan is the ultimate answer. The pivotal moment has finally arrived. Meanwhile, amidst a gathering of disciples, Han So-jin sits distressed, caught in a debate over her true capabilities, until another disciple steps forward to champion her sharp diagnostic skills. She reflects internally, feeling the stinging blow of scrutiny from the trial. Yet her master observes, knowing such trials only forge stronger resolve within her. Ju Ji-yun then concedes, acknowledging the desperate need for change in their volatile world, even as the master subtly pressures him for a firm commitment. He then offers a grim analogy, likening their situation to a double-edged sword. If Chin So-dan offers defense, then Yang Chen-dan must be a necessary, albeit risky, offense. A grim smile plays on the figure's lips as he justifies the hard choices ahead, arguing that sometimes, cutting away what's broken is better than losing everything. A messenger arrives with news. The preparations are complete, and the figure reveals Lee Jeom's choice for Yang Chen-dan's leader, agreeing that Do-won is indeed the right man for the job. Do-won, despite having just detoxified, expresses disbelief at facing another test so soon, yet he grimly follows the others, descending into the shadowy depths of stone steps. The examiner describes the eerie front chamber of the catacombs, issuing a chilling warning. Some who enter this maze are never seen again, and a half-hour time limit awaits, with grim tokens for those who fail. Soh Wol then steps forward with quiet confidence, claiming to have every turn of the entry path perfectly memorized, offering to guide everyone to safety and a well-deserved meal. Jo Gi-young interrupts, revealing his uncanny ability to sense subtle vibrations and intricate sound controls emanating from the walls, identifying the catacombs as a continuously shifting mechanical labyrinth crafted by his own barrier sect. Suddenly, Jo Gi-young and the nearby disciples detect a sweet, cloying scent filling the air. A horrifying realization dawns on them. The entire underground system is rapidly filling with a deadly poison. The true scale of the catastrophe is only just beginning to reveal itself. A young woman, one of the examinees, claps a hand over her mouth, realizing they're all poisoned, and they kept breathing it in even after they smelled it, confirming they're already doomed. But Woo Yeon-seob stands tall, introducing himself and asking the others their names, ready to take charge and propose a cooperative plan. As the group heads off, Soh Wol hangs back, knowing a missing child is still somewhere in these dangerous tunnels, and he can't leave her behind, calling out to ask if she's coming. He descends a stone staircase, his mind already racing as he quickly identifies the toxic substance surrounding them as fragrant snake jaws. He recalls how this poison is only ever used in extremely tiny amounts, which makes the sheer volume here even more alarming, as a nomad healer once explained its usage as a painkiller. Our guy tries to slow his breathing, hoping to delay the poison's effects, but a wave of dizziness washes over him, realizing his efforts are useless as the toxin takes hold. His eyes turn a vivid red, the poison consuming him as he collapses, an intense vision of a furious face with fiery eyes invading his mind, trying to suffocate him mentally. A horrifying hallucination shows him a scene of slaughter and blood, as a spectral war god figure declares none of his enemies will live to see another day, proclaiming his divinity. He sees bodies piled high, a brutal reminder of countless battles, as the voice in his mind demands a heart and total annihilation, echoing his past thirst for vengeance. Despite the mental onslaught, our protagonist fights back, forcing himself to concentrate, his will burning through the haze of the poison, focusing on the child's safety. Hallucination shifts to Han So-jin, who is now bound and terrified with shadowy figures debating her fate, her innocent cries piercing through his mental fog. His eyes narrow, a fierce determination replacing the poison-induced terror as he prepares to engage, vowing to unleash all his power to save her. His resolve hardens just as the dying light reveals the deadly price of his hesitation. The sun dips low, and Jo-gi Young, ever the watchful observer, realizes its setting means the fragrant snake jam poison has caused far too much trouble for the examinees. Outside the gate, the first wave of examinees stumbles out, collapsing onto the ground in relief, barely making it within the time limit. A young disciple with a ponytail, Han So-jin, angrily mutters that Soh Wol should worry about himself, not others, since he seemed useless against the poison earlier. Jo-gi Young scans the crowd, a frown on his face as he realizes our guy hasn't emerged yet, despite his extraordinary presence. He hopes the guy still has some time left to make it out. Deep within the dark labyrinth, Soh Wol runs, gasping for breath, pursued by unseen forces that refuse to give him a moment of peace. He clutches his head, his eyes wide with terror as shadowy figures with glowing red eyes loom around him, screaming that he didn't kill them. He begs to know why they accuse him of murder. After viciously striking down the phantoms, he stands over their fallen forms, the reality hitting him hard. If someone who knows him is this lost, then everyone else inside must already be walking corpses. He looks around at other victims, shuffling like zombies, each trapped in their own most painful memories, before spotting a young woman standing strangely unaffected by the poison. She asks him who he is and how he's still sane in this nightmare. He grabs her shoulders, calling her name urgently, trying to snap her out of it. He declares that his identity isn't what's important right now, only his path of revenge against the Murim, lamenting that he's wasted too much time finding her. He hoists the young woman over his shoulder, concluding that searching for a proper exit is impossible now. He just needs to get out before time runs out, even if it means brute force. He sits, idly tossing a small stone in his hand, secretly doubting whether forming a new group can truly fix the deep-seated rot within the coalition. Then he hurls the stone at the ancient masonry, listening intently to the impact sound, needing assurance that they can push forward regardless of whatever obstacles lie ahead. With a powerful roar, he punches right through the wall, shattering stones outward in an explosive burst. Amidst the flying rubble and dust, he emerges, still carrying the young woman, having forced their way out of the deadly labyrinth. Their survival comes at a steep price, though the elders remain preoccupied with their own failures. A grand chandelier hangs above the elders, their discussion about creating the Chindan team concluding on a sour note. It's deemed impossible, yet Zhu Ji-yun, with his blue headband, interjects to clarify it wasn't impossible, just in need of more careful deliberation. He then turns his sharp gaze to the other elders, warning that pushing too hard could cause friction among their various factions, demanding to know who would be willing to take responsibility if this new group fails. Then a white-bearded elder, Do-won, steps forward to suggest Soh Wol as a candidate for leadership, believing him to be the most qualified to lead this new task force despite his mysterious past. The white-bearded elder continues, acknowledging that our guy is certainly experienced, but also a little odd, only confirming his reputation and making him an even more intriguing choice to lead the Yang Chindan. Zhu Ji-yun nods, praising this generation of participants as the most talented to ever take the exam, perhaps even better than his own, and he even comments on our hero's presence, making a small quip about him, accepting gratitude for sword-drawing assistance. Later, under the night sky, a companion thanks him for his political support, specifically mentioning the sword he granted that helped him succeed in front of the elders earlier that day. Seems his actions carry weight even behind the scenes. He stands on a cobblestone path, bathed in the soft glow of the night, realizing a profound truth. He shouldn't have been looking for his own path alone, but should have sought someone who could help build it with him. As he reflects on this, he turns, spotting Lee Jeom approaching him in the distance, and calls out his companion's name, surprised to see him here. Lee Jeom rushes forward, his face etched with urgency, and delivers a bombshell. An incident has occurred in the underground library, creating a tense and uncertain situation. Elsewhere on barren, rocky terrain under a star-filled sky, our hero approaches a lone, seated figure, remarking that the man has come all this way instead of resting, suggesting a deeper purpose to his presence here. Real dignified stuff. The seated stranger, partially hidden by shadow, growls, telling him to fuck off, but our hero pushes back, demanding to know why the man is so obsessed with his identity, refusing to be dismissed so easily. With an intense stare, our hero directly asks the man, "Do you know swordsman Soh Wol?" A question that clearly catches the seated stranger off guard, provoking visible shock. Then our hero reveals his true purpose. "That man using the name Mu-yon sent me to you," and the words hang in the air, connecting their fates and setting the stage for what comes next. But how can Soh Wol survive the devastating blow that follows this confession? A massive fist smashes into the ground, echoing the raw force that Soh Wol once commanded, a power he remembers witnessing in his past, an inner strength that still resonates deep within him. Fierce glare from Baek Ah-yon then demands answers, as she presses him to reveal his true identity and the full extent of his capabilities. Turning sharply, she declares that he can follow if he wishes, but he must uncover his own truths and find his own way forward. Elsewhere, in a moonlit stone courtyard near old wooden buildings, several warriors with torches look exhausted, grumbling about how it took 5 of them to subdue a single woman. Real efficient work. Stern authority figure identifies the unconscious captive as Beek Ah-yon, the daughter of Beek Moon, noting that she was discovered alone in the forbidden basement library. In the deep shadows, another figure reports that the bait was taken, confirming that Beek Moon's daughter has been successfully arrested and carried away. The next day, in the bustling training ground plaza, 2 male students whisper that they haven't seen Beek's son Gio since last night, expressing concern for their missing companion. Jang Yon then confronts the elder brother of the missing student loudly, openly questioning his apparent negligence and demanding an explanation for his sister's absence. As the elder brother tries to explain it away as a normal family disagreement, Jang Yon pontificates philosophically that such distances only grow, making conflicts worse. Meanwhile, in a wooden-pillared interior corridor bathed in daylight, armed sentries stand at attention, their hands resting on sword hilts, as Jo Gi-young enters the frame. His eyes narrow in a close-up, as he wonders if everyone else is simply pretending not to notice the growing danger around them. A menacing, off-panel voice warns him that innocence only brings puzzlement, but guilt, it brings fear, shocking Jo Gi-young into wide-eyed, silent alarm. Jo Gi-young barely has time to blink before Do-won steps forward to seize the room. The white-bearded elder Do-won forcefully announces his identity as the Greatsword, his declaration startling everyone present, making it clear he will tolerate no dissent from the assembly. He continues, his voice ringing through the hall, explaining that someone brazenly broke into the underground library just last night, and the gravity of the offense hangs heavy in the air, silencing any murmurs. Then comes the shocking pronouncement. He names Beek Ah-yon, a student, as the culprit caught in the act, her alleged misdeed now public knowledge, a stain on her reputation. From the crowd, Beek Jin, her protective elder brother, steps forward, his voice firm as he questions the hasty judgment, defending his sister's character and asking if they truly believe she is guilty without solid proof. Do-won, with an assertion of absolute authority, quickly dismisses his plea, commanding him to stand down. There will be no argument or appeal, only compliance. As whispers spread through the students, many express confusion, wondering why such an innocent-looking young woman would commit such a serious crime. They just don't understand it. Other disciples recall seeing her looking deeply worried and unlike her usual self recently, and her strange demeanor now takes on a new, unsettling meaning for them. Soon, a heated argument breaks out among the students, some speculating she acted out of foolish curiosity, others refusing to believe such a thing, and our guy listens to the conflicting opinions, his worry deepening. He realizes that waiting for official investigation results is no longer an option. He must act now and hear the truth directly from her, knowing this situation demands immediate personal intervention. Just then, a shadowed figure approaches, advising him to prioritize family honor over his sister's immediate safety, the ominous counsel suggesting a deeper, more political game at play. Meanwhile, in the disheveled underground library, investigators comb through the messy room, noting that the suspect had been frantically searching for something. It's a chaotic scene, far from a typical library visit. Master Mu, one of the investigators, theorizes that the young woman wasn't actually looking for books or documents at all, his deduction pointing to a search for something far more specific and hidden. The elder brother, now determined, arrives and formally introduces himself to the investigative team as the accused sibling. He confronts them directly, his presence demanding answers. He warns Master Mu to watch his words when the investigator refuses to cooperate, his stare conveying a clear threat, and the situation quickly escalates, becoming a battle of wills. He accepts that fighting is inevitable and immediately decides to seek out allies for the mission ahead, understanding that he cannot face this challenge alone. Finding allies becomes a desperate race against time, once Soh Wol reveals the impossible mission. The air thickens with dread as Soh Wol stands before his disciples, his face grim, detailing their target, a prison fortress with towering walls and a 20-man guard detail. He warns them against killing anyone during the infiltration, a strict rule that hangs heavy, almost impossible in the quiet room. A male disciple steps forward, arguing that they share the same fate as Beek Ah-yon and must join this dangerous mission, no matter the risk. He nods, his gaze firm as he reluctantly accepts their shared commitment, leaving the final, heavy decision in their hands. Later, our guy pauses at the prison gate, putting on quite a show for the soldiers, complaining loudly about a sudden stomach issue and his urgent need for a toilet. Real dignified stuff. The moment the door cracks open, Soh Wol moves like lightning, grabbing the first soldier and silencing him instantly. In a blur of controlled movements, he quickly dispatches the remaining 3 guards, leaving them unconscious as his disciples watch in shocked silence from the dark. Then the infiltration team leaps from the rooftops, their figures stark against the bright full moon, gliding into the prison complex below. Meanwhile, a man in red robes curses under his breath, running across another roof as he berates the idiots who were supposed to be standing guard. He looks down and sees the unconscious soldiers, his eyes widening in alarm as he realizes what has happened here. Elsewhere, a tired guard grumbles about his never-ending shift and heads off to catch some rest, completely unaware of the lurking danger. Our hero strikes from behind with a swift, precise blow, knocking the weary guard down instantly without a sound. Female disciple catches up to the male disciple, reminding him with a pointed look that he was the one who insisted they follow this dangerous path. Their arrival behind the heavy iron gates marks the beginning of a much darker turn. Torches flicker wildly as soldiers frantically discuss sealing all the doors, utterly bewildered by how these legendary martial artists just surrendered without a fight, almost like they had an ulterior motive all along. A subordinate rushes in, breathless, reporting a fierce skirmish within the prison walls, and the news sends Master Do-won reeling back in shock the moment Baek Ah-yeon's name is uttered. Suddenly, Jo Gi-young explodes into action, his sword a blur, delivering a devastating strike that sends an attacker flying backward with a fierce shout. He stands victorious, his battle stance still coiled over the fallen foe, his eyes burning with a question of how they dared to challenge him. A flicker of regret crosses his face. He realizes his earlier aggression might have been a tactical misstep given their current, delicate situation. He quickly acknowledges the problem out loud. One of the soldiers escaped over the wall, and the racket they just made ensures more enemies will be swarming them any second. Jo Gi-young makes a decisive move, declaring he'll hold the door alone, volunteering for a dangerous rearguard duty so the others can focus on getting Lady Baek to safety inside. Soh Wol looks down at her trembling hands, stained crimson, admitting her wound isn't life-threatening, but the blood just keeps gushing out. Not ideal for a defensive position. Jo Gi-young turns to them, saying he's leaving the critical defense to her, and the hero hesitantly asks if she can truly guard the position by herself in her injured state. He dismisses her concern with a wave, calling it a silly question before he blasts off, sprinting down the corridor with incredible speed. Meanwhile, Commander Do-won charges toward the prison entrance, his face a mask of grim determination, ready to confront whatever awaits him inside. The heavy prison door bursts open with a deafening crash, revealing Jo Gi-young standing perfectly calm inside, already waiting for their arrival. Do-won immediately barks orders for his subordinates to tend to the wounded, loudly proclaiming that this prison holds only the most heinous criminals. He points an accusing finger at Jo Gi-young, incredulous that they would risk everything for a mere combatant, offering them a choice between a fair surrender or certain death. Jo Gi-young remains perfectly calm, stating simply that they only seek the truth, then challenges Do-won directly, asking if he truly believes the coalition's version of righteousness. He then delivers the ultimate challenge, asking Do-won if he would put everything on the line for the coalition's so-called truth, the way they have for the real one. Do-won remains silent, leaving the air thick with tension until his patience finally snaps. The commander, Do-won, points a furious finger at Soh Wol, challenging his loyalty and questioning if he's truly committed to their mission, his face twisted in disbelief. He roars in frustration, unwilling to let the master of martial arts simply walk away, ordering his men to seize him immediately, his voice echoing through the chamber. Soh Wol moves like a ghost, weaving through the charging soldiers, deflecting their clumsy swings and striking before they can even register his presence. A soldier swings a heavy weapon with all his might, but our guy is already gone, leaving the attacker to hit nothing but air, wide-eyed and stunned by the blur of movement. Real dignified stuff. He stands perfectly still in the middle of the corridor, completely untouched, surrounded by the fallen bodies of those who dared to challenge him. The furious commander screams at his subordinates, demanding to know why they cower in fear, and shaming them for their utter failure to capture one man. Soh Wol makes a subtle, almost invisible gesture, and a projectile lands perfectly on the commander's forehead, freezing him in pure terror. With an icy intensity, the warrior commands everyone to retreat behind a broken staff, threatening to cripple anyone who dares to disobey his direct order. This display of sheer dominance leaves the Murim coalition forces trembling in the wake of Soh Wol. Soh Wol stares down the Murim coalition's forces, his voice slicing through the tension as he tells them to back away if they don't want to live as cripples. His words hang heavy, a clear ultimatum from a man who means every syllable. But Lee Jeom, the so-called Sword King, just throws his head back and laughs, mocking the warning. He taunts our protagonist, confident in his own power and the might of the coalition. Our hero simply watches, his expression unreadable, and calmly reminds them again that he already told them to stay back. It's a second chance they seem determined to ignore, which is a choice. With a guttural roar, the Sword King brings his heavy weapon down in a powerful vertical slash, creating a shockwave that screams his power. He clearly aims to end this quickly, with brute force. Yet our guy leans back, moving barely an inch, and evades the blade effortlessly as it slices through the air where he was just standing. He even mocks the predictable attack, making it look easy. The Sword King tries a follow-up, a supposed finishing blow, but he freezes mid-swing. A sudden realization or hesitation crosses his face, a flicker of doubt in his overwhelming confidence. In that frozen moment, Soh Wol delivers a powerful fist strike, sending the larger man sliding backward across the stone floor. The Sword King stares, his face contorted in sheer disbelief at the impact. The observers in the background react with shock, mumbling in disbelief that he dodged the blade and pushed their champion back with just one hit. Their confidence in their Sword King starts to crumble fast. Our protagonist stands tall, declaring his noble intentions to everyone present. He asserts that even though they brand him a criminal, he and his allies are simply seeking the truth. The Sword King, somewhat recovered, scoffs and questions if our hero truly believes he can handle the entire coalition with only 9 people. It's a challenge to his perceived arrogance, for sure. Soh Wol smirks, a confident glint in his eyes, and counters that he's handling 2 Sword Kings perfectly fine right now. His composure is unwavering, even facing such overwhelming odds. The Murim coalition's champion warns him that he's walking a dangerous path, a path filled with peril. But our protagonist simply claims it's the right path, dismissing the threat with a determined gaze. Amidst the swirling action lines and growing tension, a new voice cuts through the air, commanding that the fighting stops. Jo Gi-young appears, weapon in hand, looking amused as he states he'd love to see how this fight ends. Jo Gi-young lingers, yet the true weight of his arrival is only beginning to dawn. Character stares wide-eyed, a silent what? Hanging in the air as the gravity of their situation begins to sink in, the shock of discovery washing over the group. Jo Gi-young, his face etched with concern, confirms to his companion that he indeed ventured into the forbidden underground library, his voice low and tinged with resignation. Then Soh Wol expresses profound despair, admitting there's nothing more to say and asking for understanding in this impossible predicament as his shoulders slump with the weight of it all. The group's faces collectively fall as the full severity of their situation dawns on them, exclaiming that they are truly in deep trouble now, a nervous energy filling the space. Chapter 20 then begins with our guy Jo Gi-young, his intense gaze fixed forward, his expression unreadable as the camera lingers on his face, hinting at the storm brewing beneath. Now the elder, his eyes narrowed, points directly at Baek Ah-yeon and demands she reveal whatever she's hiding within her clothes or possessions, the air crackling with accusation. Baek Ah-yeon, maintaining her composure, insists that nothing untoward will happen and bravely asks the elder to prove her innocence, a bold move challenging his authority directly. Under the immense pressure, she takes a solemn oath, swearing on her very life that no harm will come from her actions, her words hanging heavy as a desperate plea for trust. The elder presses her on the letter's origin, and she calmly explains it was carried to her by the wind, appearing mysteriously after her exams. A convenient story, if a little breezy. The elder then begins to read the letter aloud, his voice echoing as he reveals its contents, specifically mentioning the 9 individuals who passed Chin So-dan's exams, every word a hammer blow. It's then revealed that the entire letter was a clever fabrication by Baek Ah-yeon, crafted specifically to shield the coalition's true plan, her carefully constructed alibi crumbling. The group reacts with a mix of shock and palpable anger, shouting in confusion as they question the unfolding events, while the elder simply smirks, enjoying the chaos he's orchestrated. The elder then calmly explains that their leader had intentionally misled them about the training scheme, all to observe if they would catch the inconsistencies, a test of perception by deception. This revelation leaves the trainees reeling, yet the weight of the deception shifts to the guards. 2 guards stand at the prison gates, their torches flickering in the dim light, wondering if the whole crisis is truly over and if they should finally open up. A reporting guard approaches Jo Gi-young, snapping to attention and delivering urgent news about the prison's resolution with a respectful salute. He explains that Jo Gi-young proved the daughter's innocence, and the clan soldiers were actually praising this stand for justice. Jo Gi-young clenches his fist, a dark cloud crossing his face, lamenting that he wanted to destroy them early, but now they're just getting stronger under this new protection. Meanwhile, a full moon hangs high in the night sky, casting a soft glow over a quiet house with warm lights spilling from its windows, hinting at a moment of peace. Inside, a woman sleeps fitfully, her exhausted face showing the toll of recent events. Even in slumber, she can't find true rest. Soh Wol quietly enters the room, his gaze settling on the sleeping figure with deep concern, his presence a silent vigil. He speaks softly, confirming his certainty about Lady Baek's noble nature and suggesting they focus on her recovery instead of idle chatter. Under the night sky, our guy then approaches a wounded youth sitting on a rocky path, gently asking about his injuries and how he's feeling. The youth quickly replies that Lady Han's ointment worked wonders and the pain has completely disappeared, a grateful smile on his face. They share a moment of relief that the crisis ended without more trouble. Then Soh Wol announces he needs to leave and gather his thoughts. He walks away into the deepening shadows, his mind wrestling with a heavy question. Will anyone else see through the deception and choose to fight it, or is he alone? Then Soh Wol suddenly stops in his tracks, his head tilting slightly as he hears something suspicious in the oppressive darkness around him. A figure bursts from the shadows with incredible speed, launching an aggressive strike directly toward him, a true surprise attack. He raises his hands instinctively to defend, his eyes widening in shock as he wonders if the attacker could possibly be Woon Hyeon, of all people. The attacker grins, revealing himself fully, and exclaims how pleased he is to see Master Soh Wol again, clearly not holding any ill will. What a greeting. Soh Wol has little time to recover before another presence emerges from the shadows. A young woman, Do-won, confronts Soh Wol, wondering why he waited so long to seek her out. She points out the risk of their clandestine meeting during the exam period, reminding him how dangerous it is to be seen together right now. She shares crucial intelligence, explaining that unlike past years, there's been no talk of member replacements, which she finds incredibly suspicious, hinting at something darker unfolding behind the scenes. Our guy with his sharp mind quickly deduces the truth. These inspection missions are nothing more than a cover, realizing they're either about enforcing strict standards or, more likely, eliminating any perceived opposition. Before slipping away into the night, the woman teases him about passing on her regards to Lady Beak, leaving Soh Wol flustered and annoyed. Some people just can't resist a little jab, it seems. Later, he jolts awake in his bed, the morning light filling his room as he sits up, looking slightly disoriented, the quiet of his chamber a stark contrast to the whispered dangers of the night. Meanwhile, the leader, Jo Gi-young, stands on a raised platform before a gathered crowd, his voice ringing out as he commends their stellar performance in the recent exams, praising their hard work and excellence for all to hear. Suddenly, his expression turns severe as he warns the group they are embroiled in a silent war, battling enemies who masquerade as allies among them. A chilling thought hangs in the air: trust no one. Jo Gi-young announces the formation of a new internal inspection team, stating that through rigorous investigations, they will expose those attempting to expand their shadowy influence, as it's time to purge the rot from within. He then addresses the applicants, laying out a heavy choice: sign the contract, stamp their seal, and be reborn into the Yang Chendan, or refuse, telling them the decision to join this crucial fight is entirely their own. Following his command, various applicants kneel on the ground, busily writing their names and pressing seals onto large paper scrolls spread before them. A mass signing of loyalty, indeed. Two observant figures watch Soh Wol intently, one expressing concern over the newcomer's unknown background, while the other ponders whether he can be wielded like a double-edged sword, a dangerous asset in their unfolding plans. Morning sunlight breaks over the city, signaling the moment the new recruits finally begin their training. This is it. The new recruits finally step inside the magnificent Yang Chendan building, marveling at the incredible architecture and the lavish conditions, whispering about how this can possibly be their new reality. But for Soh Wol, the luxury is just background noise. A subordinate approaches him, calmly reminding the young hero that the commander is waiting, though he shows no rush to change out of his casual clothes. Moments later, the other recruits gasp as he emerges completely transformed. Simply changing into his vice commander attire gives him an immediate aura of authority that leaves them awestruck, now calling him by his proper title with new respect. Suddenly, a powerful figure named Do-won descends from above with a bone-shaking thump, introducing himself with booming confidence, and declaring that he's here to rigorously test the abilities of all the young warriors present. The white-bearded elder effortlessly blocks and counters the first wave of charging students, sending them flying with barely a flick of his wrist. It's a brutal display of superior technique that leaves everyone else stunned. He then specifically targets Beak Ah-yeon, the recruit with the red scar, and other students, defeating them all with a single, precise strike and coldly dismissing their efforts, labeling them weak. Finally, the powerful instructor stands victorious amidst the defeated students, assessing the wreckage of their initial attempts, and announces that their true training will now begin from the absolute basics, a harsh reality check for everyone. Across the training grounds, the tension shifts as Gwang AM steps forward to test his own strength. Gwang AM, the Wicked Fist, unleashes a powerful strike, but a grunt of shock escapes him as his opponent resists the impact with unexpected fortitude. He definitely didn't expect such a solid response. His face then contorts in a moment of unsettling recognition, memories flashing back of a young fighter whose prowess far outstripped his apparent status. It's almost as if he's seen this level of skill before. He internally identifies Jo Gi-young, recalling him as the one who effortlessly shattered coalition warriors within the confines of a prison. This guy's got a rap sheet, apparently. The young man dodges another furious assault and positions himself for a swift counter, his movements fluid and precise, which makes the master scoff, calling him a sly fox for his evasive maneuvers. Then Gwang AM unleashes his signature, Spirit King Fist style, with an overwhelming declaration of its force, and the ground trembles as he pours all his might into the attack. To the astonishment of all watching, Jo Gi-young completely blocks the devastating strike, stopping it dead in its tracks. Even his opponent seems taken aback by the young man's defense. The Wicked Fist analyzes the block internally, realizing that he felt his fist's raw power nullified by an opposing energy of equal might just before contact. His attack was met force with force. He formally introduces himself as Wicked Fist, Gwang AM, then declares he will personally train everyone starting tomorrow. The recruits are about to learn what training truly means. Meanwhile, as dusk settles over the courtyard, the elder leader assures the Wicked Fist that he deeply cares for Yang Chendan's success, tasking the master with training them exceptionally well. The elder specifically commands him to pay close attention to Jo Gi-young, whom he describes as ridiculous, and the Wicked Fist acknowledges this special surveillance, confirming he's already on it. Alone as twilight deepens, Jo Gi-young stretches, observing that his movements feel stiff in the new uniform, so he decides to get a good warm-up in before the intense training begins tomorrow. As he stands, catching his breath after his warm-up, a voice calls out, asking if he is Mu-yeon, and he turns to face an unexpected presence, a familiar figure appearing out of the shadows. Mu-yeon barely has a moment to process the arrival before the real demonstration begins. The air crackles as Soh Wol takes his stance, body coiled and ready, while Jo Gi-young watches his preparation in silence, a quiet observer of the impending demonstration. He counts through steps 1 to 11, the sheer force of each impact cracking the very earth beneath him, turning solid ground into a shattered mosaic. With a final, explosive move, he lands the 12th impact, sending a massive cloud of dust and debris skyward, obscuring the view in a sudden, violent burst. As the dust settles, our guy feels the toll of his actions, a stark reminder of the power he's lost since his awakening, a profound weakness in his revitalized body. Jo Gi-young steps forward, her voice cutting through the silence as she challenges him, asking if he feels fear facing the opponents awaiting them. She then draws her sword just enough to show intent, suggesting a warm-up sparring session as a prelude to their serious training, a chance to test their limits, maybe even his new body. Under the pale moonlight, they both agree to hold nothing back, facing each other with grim determination, ready for the clash. Meanwhile, the bearded elder confirms the plan, revealing that the elite Bai Young Dan and AM Young Dan groups will join forces to assist in training the Yang Chendan. The elders discuss these specialized groups, noting they are masters of ambush and assault, training relentlessly day and night to hone their deadly skills. Walking alone in the forest path, the bearded elder wonders silently if their current force possesses the strength needed to stand against these formidable masters they'll soon face. Suddenly, his sparring partner strikes from the shadows, her sword flashing with surprising speed, initiating a high-stakes duel as she catches him off guard. He parries her attack, a wry smile on his face as he compliments her skill, their blades continuing to clash in the inky blackness of the night. But can she withstand the relentless assault when Jo Gi-young finally decides to strike? Jo Gi-young, one of the newer disciples, launches a fierce downward slash, his weapon whistling through the air. Before the young disciple can even react, the formidable Gwang AM delivers a swift counterstrike, sending him sprawling to the ground. The Wicked Fist stands over the now-fallen student, his expression stern, lecturing him on the grim reality of battle, stating that if this were a real fight, both of them would already be dead. The young man hits the hard ground with a painful thud, a guttural groan escaping his lips as he tries to collect himself, clearly rattled. His master looks down at him, a hint of mockery in his voice, dismissing the previous attack and declaring such cheap tricks won't work on someone of his caliber. Suddenly, the disciple, still on the ground, scoops up a handful of dirt and flings it into his master's eyes. The older warrior lets out a surprised yell, momentarily blinded by the unexpected dirty tactic. Seizing the moment, Jo Gi-young leaps to his feet and rushes forward at incredible speed, letting out a determined shout, aiming to capitalize on his mentor's temporary disorientation. Even blinded, his master reacts instantly, catching the attacking blade with uncanny precision, calmly noting that if the sword were real, the young man's arm would have been severed twice over by now. Confident laugh escapes Gwangham's lips as he puts one hand behind his back, challenging his student and declaring he'll take him on with just one hand. With another swift movement, the master disarms Jo Gi-young, sending his weapon flying, then declares the sparring session over. He admits the assault was impressive, a grudging compliment for his student's tenacity, but his attention then shifts to a female disciple observing them, calling her impertinent for her intense stare. Talk about a tough crowd. Jo Gi-young finally faces his master with a serious, almost defiant expression, asserting that in a true battle, the situation would be reversed, and it would be the master who lay dead. As the tension of that confrontation lingers, hours fade, and the red-robed figure watches the training. Figure in red robes observes the scene as the Yang Chendan members train with unusual intensity, silently wondering why they haven't stopped for lunch. Jo Gi-young turns on Soh Wol, accusing the new vice commander of disrespecting his mentor and yelling that he'll put him in his place, preparing to strike with a furious expression. The exchange of blows becomes a whirlwind of fists, with Jo Gi-young letting out a primal scream with each punch, intent on overpowering his opponent. He notes internally that the vice commander's punches are gaining power, despite his calm face, yet the newcomer is holding back so as not to injure his mentor, a real gentleman. Jo Gi-young winds up for a killing blow, yelling for Soh Wol to stop holding back and fight with all his might, his face contorted with exertion. After the massive impact, Jo Gi-young smirks, convinced the blow will send the vice commander to bed for days. But the quiet warrior simply lets out a small ho and stands completely unharmed. Amidst the dust, Soh Wol asks what happened, while his attacker, Jo Gi-young, begins to panic internally, realizing something impossible has just occurred. The commander, clad in red, suddenly appears and scolds the vice commander for his behavior towards his mentor, making it clear this sparring has gone too far. Yet this harsh rebuke is nothing compared to the dark storm gathering far above Soh Wol. From a windswept mountain peak, Soh Wol stands silhouetted against a vast, tumultuous sky, feeling the ghostly energy of the deceased war god, a chilling reminder of his past life just as things were starting to look up. A mustached master, Gwang Am, with a stern expression, states that despite our guy's formidable power, the other disciples still need strict training, so he'll be overseeing their development. In a private room, the red-robed elder confronts him, admonishing him about causing trouble, and emphasizes his duty as vice commander of Yang Chendan. Soh Wol walks away down a corridor, acknowledging the red-robed elder's incredible nature, but he admits he can't quite fathom the man's true thoughts. Overhead, the training compound hums with activity as evening approaches, with various disciples gathering for their independent practice sessions. He stands before the gathered group, urging them all to stay composed and to advance step by step, even though he himself felt the vast difference after his training session with his master, Gwang Am. Yang calls out to the young disciple with the ponytail, Wan, asking where he's off to, and he replies that he's going to find the leader of the Yang Chendan. Wan then speaks with the scarfed elder about how impressive the leader is, confirming his promotion to vice commander, but the elder already knew and asks if the location for the guidance has been set. They then discuss the martial artist's guidance, a notable event where disciples meet famous sects and receive master-level teachings, usually requiring individual sect approvals for such an occasion. It's revealed that this time, the leader himself chose the Hebei Peng clan for the guidance event, a surprise to everyone listening, truly thinking outside the box. Everyone reacts with shock at hearing the name, Hebei's Peng clan, immediately concerned about their suspicious inaction during the Serpent's Blood sect's active period. Detailed exposition follows about how the Peng clan ignored the Serpent's Blood sect's activities in their own territory, suggesting either ignorance or direct complicity, before they acted only after the sect was gone. Paranoia then escalates as they wonder if Yang knows who truly caused the Serpent's Blood sect's downfall, whether their true identities can remain hidden, and if he can ultimately be trusted with such dangerous secrets. But as these shadows of doubt linger, Jo Gi-young begins his grueling ascent into the unknown. Jo Gi-young pushes himself up a steep, rocky path, each step a struggle as he gasps for air, wondering why he ever chose such a back-breaking journey. He pauses, wiping sweat from his brow, a wry thought crossing his mind that perhaps Mu-yeon was right. Maybe difficult tasks are best avoided, but there's no turning back now. He thinks of the larger mission, the shadowy organization pulling strings, and how his companion Yang had insisted they trust Swordmaster Soh Wol's orders, even if it felt like a trap. Suddenly, a crude bandit leader looms over him, sneering about him having guts to sit in their spot and demanding what he expected to find crawling all the way up here. Gi-young slowly rises, a small, sardonic smile playing on his lips as he remarks that these thugs must have terrible eyesight, completely baffling the scoundrels. As the angry bandits rush him, his hand flashes to his staff, spinning it into a furious strike that sends the attackers sprawling backward. He stands over the groaning figures, dusting himself off with an air of indifference, deciding to simply forget the small interruption as he continues his determined trek toward Hebei. Back in a wooden hall, Yang reports to a calm, bearded Gwangam that despite the sudden change in their destination and a shortage of hands, preparations for their month-long journey are almost complete. The camera shifts to a chaotic training yard where students are sparring with intense aggression. confirming that the martial arts instructor is indeed putting the Yongchendan members through a brutal regimen. The instructor blocks a student's punch with explosive force, sending them skidding across the stone courtyard, before laughing and declaring they've shown significant improvement since yesterday. He follows up with a powerful spinning kick that lifts another student completely off the ground, noting that everyone has improved so much he can no longer hold back his strength in their sparring sessions. The formidable teacher assumes a fierce, ready stance, announcing that if he dares to pull his punches now, he'll be the one getting beaten, so it's time to turn up the intensity of their training even more. The true test begins the moment those blades strike. Soh Wol watches the students train, their movements unbelievably fast, and he notes their skills are skyrocketing at a pace that almost defies belief. The improvements are so rapid even Gwang AM, his keen observer, can't quite grasp it all. He then points out one student's shaky performance, criticizing the lack of focus in their blade's projection, and quickly dismisses their half-hearted excuses. He won't tolerate sloppiness from those under his tutelage, apparently. To drive his point home, our guy demonstrates harmony with the sword by merely snapping a leafy twig with his bare hand, showcasing the sheer power and precision that comes from true mastery. It's a simple act, yet it resonates with incredible force. Out in a rocky training area, several onlookers start placing bets, doubting that he could replicate such a feat on a massive boulder using only a fragile twig. They whisper about his previous display, wondering if it was just a fluke. But the war god silences them all by swinging the twig with a force that defies its size, effortlessly slicing the giant boulder into two clean pieces. The stone crumbles apart, leaving everyone stunned by the sheer power he wields with such a mundane object. Later, walking along a stone forest path with Han So-jin, the two agree to depart tomorrow, sensing that Yang So-jil might hold crucial information. The mission is always at the forefront of their minds, even amidst the training. As night falls, Han So-jin observes the training grounds, noting that everyone there is still buzzing with excitement, clearly fired up by the twig demonstration earlier that day. His power truly inspires those around him. On a dark forest path, she confronts him directly, accusing him of being rude by keeping secrets from her, especially when they're supposed to be allies working towards a common goal. She expects more transparency from her partner. He urges her to be patient, admitting that trusting anyone, especially after his past, isn't easy for him, but he assures her that despite his reservations, he truly does trust her. It's a moment of raw honesty beneath the moonlight. Yet how long will this fragile trust hold when the Peng clan leader decides to strike? Young disciples gather at the clan compound, their eyes wide with the honor of attending a martial artist's guidance event. As the leader of the Peng clan, a man with a flowing white beard, sternly watches them go. They file through the gate, their blue uniforms a stark contrast to the white marble, and the old man reminds them of the Peng clan's long-standing influence across the province, the oldest and most powerful. With a booming voice, the old leader tells them to make the most of the month-long event, urging them to return safely and in one piece. Soh Wol stands a little apart, his expression unreadable, as the others pass through the Grand Martial Alliance gate, perhaps wondering what this guidance truly entails. Then a yellow-robed elder approaches, explaining that Hebei was chosen specifically to spread goodwill, as it's the one province that hasn't hosted a guidance event yet, trying to spin a political decision into something more noble. Meanwhile, deep within a hidden mountain outpost, Du-won informs Jang Daelung that the mysterious leader of the Serpent's Blood sect incident is actually a fist fighter named Mu Yon, now serving as vice commander in Yongchendan. Jang Daelung's eyes widen with surprise and intrigue as he hears the name, muttering that this Mu Yon is indeed a curious man. When he learns that Chen So-dan already left for Hebei this morning, Jang Daelung's face darkens. He realizes someone beat him to the punch and orders his subordinates to prepare for immediate departure. The shadow subordinate hesitates, and Jang Daelung grabs him by the collar, his voice laced with menace, reminding the man that a mere shadow dares not talk back to him, forcing a swift, terrified compliance. Real dignified stuff. Elsewhere, Du-won enters a different room, announcing that he's heard back from both the Bai Young-dan and AM Young-dan factions, likely bringing more intelligence. Later, our man stands before his commander, his dark hair falling long as he waits for his instructions, his expression still and calm. Jang Daelung points to a map spread across a low table, outlining the task ahead and asking his subordinate if he can actually do it. Soh Wol's face remains impassive, his voice a cool challenge as he asks if not wanting to means he can simply refuse the task. Jang Daelung throws his head back and laughs, a booming sound that fills the room, before our hero's eyes widen slightly in surprise as he finally understands the mention of flag training. The map on the table clearly shows 4 distinct peaks: Flat Top Mountain, Mount Daby, Mount Tiantai, and Mount Light, each marked with a flag symbolizing the objective. Now with his team, Soh Wol explains the clear objectives of the exercise: infiltrate past the guards, secure the flags, and bring them back to the coalition headquarters. One of his companions casually remarks that it sounds easy, unaware of the full scope of the challenge, until the commander reveals the impossible deadline: 4 mountains in just 10 days. The team's faces show genuine shock, calculating that even just traveling to Mount Light at full speed would take up all 10 days, leaving no time for combat or retrieval. Soh Wol calmly assures them that while the enemy might outnumber them, they can't possibly block every path to each peak, and their main focus will be on protecting the flags themselves, not every route. With a confident look, he declares that they will exploit that very weakness, capturing all 4 flags and returning within the tight 10-day deadline. This bold ambition sets the stage, but time waits for no one. An elder in red robes greets a young disciple, who quickly shares that everyone else left 2 hours ago, creating an unexpected gap in the schedule. Meanwhile, Jo Gi-young, leading his squad, flies through the forest canopy, their speed leaving streaks in the air as they try to close the distance. The commander quickly splits his team, sending members to Flat Top Mountain, Mount Davy, and Mount Light, hoping to cover more ground. He then steps up, volunteering to take the lead position himself, pushing his body to the limit to catch their elusive targets. His squad follows, landing heavily on jagged stone surfaces with loud impacts as they leap from peak to peak, the mountain crossing a brutal test of endurance. Across the way, a masked scout quickly snatches a carrier pigeon from the sky, deftly pulling a small message tube from its leg to retrieve vital intel. He reports to his leader that their enemies departed 4 hours ahead of schedule, warning that mere delaying tactics won't work against the AM Yongdan. Woon Hyun, meanwhile, complains about the rough sleeping conditions, finding the ground utterly unagreeable as he discusses reaching Hebei's Peng clan by noon tomorrow. He tries to slip away for a moment of relief in the forest clearing, but Yang quickly calls him back, stopping his private break, which is a real mood killer. Yang then produces a green cylindrical flare device, handing it over and identifying it as equipment used by the wandering faction. He details his surveillance of a trade wagon, noting its nightly journey to Hebei's Peng clan, its thoroughly nailed lid, a foul smell, and an unnatural coldness radiating from within. Woon Hyun accepts this dangerous infiltration mission, but he makes it clear that whether he fires the flare depends entirely on what he discovers inside that suspicious box. Woon Hyun accepts the stakes, and the mission begins with a cold look at the enemy. The group huddles around the map, planning their next move as their leader says they need some frontline fighters. Real dignified stuff. He explains to his subordinates that the exposed mountain terrain means the Peng clan village will be heavily fortified, requiring a direct, forceful assault to breach its defenses. With grim determination, the leader assigns Lee Baeum and Beek in the critical task of spearheading the frontal breakthrough, a direct path through the heart of the enemy's protection. Deep within the dense forest and rugged slopes of Flat Top Mountain, a skilled scout, the masked ninja, spots movement below, confirming targets are closing in on their position. The ninja quickly identifies the approaching figures as members of the young Chun-dan, noting their numbers are surprisingly smaller than anticipated, a detail that shifts their tactical advantage. Then, in a flurry of motion, figures leap and strike, the ninja expertly coordinating an ambush to engage the incoming enemy. A lone runner speeds through the trees, skillfully acting as bait, drawing enemies into a frantic chase while the ninja stays close, ready to intervene. Their strategy, a frog in the grass maneuver, aims to disappear from sight precisely at the mountain's crest, creating confusion and paralyzing the enemy's decision-making process. True to plan, the pursuers halt in bewilderment, their inability to locate the vanished target creating a crucial delay and confirming the success of the diversion. A young woman asks her companion if she's ever told him why this exercise truly matters, but he humorously cuts her off, suggesting she save her breath while they're running through the trees. Undeterred, the female warrior explains with earnestness that this is her first time apart from her twin, in yoke, and she feels an intense need to succeed on her own terms. Her companion smiles, calling her a worrywart just like in yoke, then offers a comforting thought. Twins often feel each other's presence even when separated by distance. Suddenly, a wave of alarm ripples through the participants as word spreads that enemies have broken through the defenses and are rapidly advancing toward the flags, sending soldiers scrambling up the steep slope. Someone shouts Beekjan's name, and he responds with a firm affirmation, launching himself into the air to intercept the encroaching threat. What a leap. Off-panel, a commander's voice rings out, rallying his team against the Yang Chendan, urging them not to be known as the worst by Yongdan lineup in history. Meanwhile, Beekjan plunges into fierce close-quarters combat, wooden daggers whizzing all around him as an unseen observer, remarks that the attackers are quite good at what they do. Hiding in a rocky outcrop on the mountainside, the female warrior and her companion catch their breath, relieved they've seemingly lost their pursuers, but the male warrior suddenly winces, clutching his side. She quickly checks on him, and he reveals a wooden dagger struck him, making it impossible for him to sprint at full speed now. They both realize that a rendezvous with the team at Mount Davy is now out of the question, and the injured warrior considers attempting to return solo. He ponders the strategic implications. Mount Davy requires 3 participants. Mount Light needs many more, leaving only 2 for himself and Beekjin, for whom there was no contingency plan. Excellent planning. Under the dramatic hues of a sunset, a wide view of flat-top mountain shows its summit, and a caption informs us that the Bai Yongdan team was overwhelmed there. An observer counts only 2 small figures on the mountain's crest, expressing utter disbelief that just 2 people could have captured the objective. Close-up reveals an officer concluding that the Yang Chendan is truly formidable. Then he gives the order for a signal flare to announce their arrival. The flare shoots high into the sky, exploding into a burst of light, as the looming threat of hellish training punishment awaits those who fail, a harsh reminder of the stakes. The glowing embers fade, drawing the focus toward Zhou Giyang as he turns to Soh Wol. Zhou Giyang leans in close to Soh Wol, asking about this Woon Hyan guy who keeps coming up, wanting to know their real history together. He explains how he first met Woon Hyan after handling some troublemakers from the Serpent's Blood, saying he just walked into their headquarters to sort things out. Zhou Giyang's eyes go wide as she realizes the casual destruction of the powerful Serpent's Blood was all his doing, a truly stunning confession. Meanwhile, Lady Ha-un runs through a dark forest, desperately calling for Master Li as shadowy enemies close in behind her. Our protagonist admits he purposely drew the pursuers away from her so she could get a head start, putting himself in danger for her escape. He then tells Lady Ha-un to forget the training exercise and focus on finding the injured Master Zhang Yuk, prioritizing her comrades' safety. Later, on a windswept mountain, he and Zhou Giyang discuss their tough choice, wondering if their small team can really hold both Mount Davy and Mount Light against overwhelming forces. Back on a winding mountain trail, she insists she's coming with him to Mount Light, despite the clear dangers ahead. She reflects that he's changed a lot, noting how he trusts people more easily now than he did all those years ago. Elsewhere, other coalition members in a dense, foggy forest start to panic as reports come in that multiple teams have already lost their flags. Suddenly, a shadowy attacker strikes down a patrol member, emerging from the fog with deadly precision, then makes it clear their primary target is Zhou Giyang's black boots step silently over the forest floor, a swift and almost imperceptible movement as he pushes hard through the trees. A masked scout, hidden behind a thick tree, narrows his eyes, spotting the 2 figures dashing quickly towards him through the distant foliage. Our guy races forward, a determined look on his face, calling out Zhou's name to the warrior behind him, sensing they've been detected. Soh Wol confirms the enemy knows they're coming. Moments later, blood drips from the sharp edge of a blade, splashing onto the ground with a wet sound, hinting at a recent brutal encounter. Zhou Giyang looks down at 2 fallen foes, a slight curiosity on his face before a sinister grin spreads across his lips, pleased with his quiet victory. Suddenly, a heavy black projectile flies through the air with incredible force, slamming into a thick tree trunk and shattering it into splinters on impact. Zhou Giyang ducks swiftly behind cover as another dark ball smashes into the tree right next to him, and the war god calmly explains the weapon is made of iron. The martial artist spins her sword with expert precision, creating a defensive barrier that deflects all incoming black spheres, leaving the enemies staring in disbelief. From behind, the retreating enemies watch as the 2 protagonists blur past them with astonishing speed, their movements a whirlwind of motion. Zhou Giyang glances back, suggesting the other conserve her energy, but the warrior responds with irritated defiance before cutting down another attacker in a swift motion. Both protagonists launch themselves off tree trunks, soaring through the air as the enemies below shout and fire more ebony rounds upwards at their airborne targets. Zhou Giyang lands agilely on a rocky outcrop after a massive jump, then turns back to ask about his companion's leaping ability as the martial artist follows close behind him. Stern-faced antagonist Li Jiom appears, declaring that the 2 warriors have nowhere left to escape, trapping them with nowhere to go. Li Jiom allows a moment of silence to pass before his taunts drift across the ravine. From across the ravine, a commanding voice shouts that the flag is beyond their reach, a challenge echoing over the wide-open space as he and Zhou stand defiant. The enemy leader's words just a distant rumble. The enemy leader, a man in dark robes, sees their determination and orders his troops to move, demanding their surrender, promising to beat them senseless if they resist. The menacing close-up of the leader's face fills the frame, his threat of violence hanging heavy in the air. But they stand firm, clearly not buying his tough talk. With a sudden burst of speed, he launches himself across the chasm, pulling Zhou along with him, their combined momentum carrying them into the void, while the enemy commander yells at his subordinates to stop them. Zhou's terrified scream rips through the air, her voice strained as she realizes the sheer distance they still have to cover, knowing they're too far from the other side. They hang suspended in midair between the two towering cliffs, a dynamic splash of motion and sheer will as he soars, his eyes fixed on the distant edge. The enemy soldiers watch in stunned silence, their faces reflecting pure shock, unable to believe anyone would attempt such a jump, let alone actually make it across. They land with a jarring impact, dust billowing around them as Mu-Yeon stumbles, barely keeping her balance until he grabs her, pulling her away from the crumbling edge. An intimate close-up shows him calling out her name, Mu-Yeon, his voice laced with genuine concern, pulling her closer to make sure she's steady on her feet. He warns her to watch her step, gesturing at the precarious edge just beneath her feet, where the ground is unstable and still giving way from their impact. Mu-Yeon gasps in disbelief, looking around at their surroundings, unable to believe they actually made it across, the sheer relief washing over her. He quickly snaps her out of her daze, ordering her to hurry toward their objective, as there's no time to celebrate. They need to reach the distant summit. As they move, a brief moment of connection forms between them as he helps her up, their hands clasping, and she quietly suggests he could have just come alone. She pulls her hand away, shaking her head. "I'm not a child," she insists, her voice firm, rejecting the idea of being seen as fragile or needing protection. He simply nods, accepting her assertion, and together they continue their climb, now a team ready to finish this mission as one. At the mountain's crest, the enemy flag waves proudly in the wind, but she's already there, leaping, a blur of motion, toward the objective, taking the enemy by surprise. With incredible agility, she grabs hold of the flagpole, securing the objective, her impact rattling the pole and sending a clear signal of their success. Later, at a forest trail junction, he explains the urgency of their schedule. They need to get back to the coalition in time. Every minute counts now. He turns to Mu-Yeon, his expression serious, warning her to be careful on her journey, an emotional farewell and a silent promise to meet again. He then turns and runs into the trees, his figure quickly disappearing into the mist-shrouded forest, moving with silent swiftness, leaving her to her own path. Deep within the ancient, dark forest, he moves like a phantom, a speed-blurred traversal between towering, mist-shrouded trees, the dense foliage blurring past him. Suddenly he decelerates, his head snapping to the side as he senses something, stopping dead in his tracks, his senses now fully alert to the lurking threat. Figure slowly emerges from the swirling mist ahead, their silhouette growing clearer with each passing moment, and he instinctively prepares for whatever is coming. He stands with his back to the viewer, facing the unknown presence, his stance tense and ready, as the air crackles with unspoken tension, setting the stage for their confrontation. The silence breaks as Vice Commander Han So-jin steps out of the shadows, and So-jin introduces himself with a playful jab, telling his target that his identity is far less important than who Jo Gi-young is. The Vice Commander taunts Gi-young, declaring he didn't even flinch, much less blink an eye at his sudden attack. Gi-young's eye focuses, sharp and unflinching, on the precise spot where the attackers blow mist. The mist attack leaves a clean, vertical slice through a thick tree trunk, a silent testament to the raw force behind his movements. The foe darts forward, a blur of motion, kicking up a cloud of dust and debris with each powerful stride as he closes the distance. Our hero's eyes, keen and focused, track every rapid movement of the enemy, preparing for the next swift action. From a low angle, the sky and treetops reveal the attacker soaring through the air, unseen from below, about to strike. And So-jin, the master of surprise, descends from above with twin blades drawn, those glinting aiming for a decisive blow. Gi-young is already on the ground bracing for the impact of the incoming attack, his body tensing with readiness. A massive impact erupts, sending a towering cloud of dust and debris billowing upwards as the attacker slams into the ground. The two powerful fighters then engage in a rapid exchange of blows, a whirlwind of motion between the tall, silent trees. And So-jin, with a smug grin, taunts his opponent, saying that he is already embarrassing him with this greeting. Our hero retorts with a dry wit, telling the grinning fighter that it wouldn't be fun otherwise, a challenge in his eyes. Close-up reveals the intense physical struggle. As the attacker grips Gi-young, their movements locked in a fierce, brutal dance. And So-jin, still gripping his rival, analyzes the younger fighter's appearance, questioning if what he is wearing is all there is to him. The Vice Commander laughs maniacally, his eyes gleaming with unsettling joy as he holds his opponent captive. Still laughing, the skilled martial artist delivers multiple quick, powerful punches to Gi-young, testing his defenses. Our protagonist struggles against the grapple, then with a sudden burst of power, breaks free from the warrior's hold. The strong martial artist retaliates with a massive, focused punch, striking the grinning foe with immense force. The impact sends the attacker flying into a thick tree, snapping it in half with a deafening crack. Trees snap and splinter under the force of the impact, as a massive dust cloud expands rapidly through the forest. A wide shot reveals the devastated landscape, a chaotic scene of snapped trees and billowing dust, a true mark of the battle's intensity. Gi-young stands calmly amidst the swirling dust and debris, completely unfazed by the destruction around him. And so Jin lies injured on the ground, a trickle of blood at his mouth, yet he still manages a weak hoarse laugh. As the dust settles, Jo Gi-young arrives to find the aftermath of that brutal clash. Jo Gi-young shouts accusations, his voice filled with horror and rage, as he gazes upon the fresh bodies of the fallen masked scouts scattered around him, his fists clenched, demanding answers for the senseless slaughter. The sky brightens as Soh Wol declares his rebirth, feeling younger and stronger, justifying the killing with a cold resolve that he must now leave. The martial god continues, his voice devoid of emotion, pointing out two critical errors the enemy made in their futile pursuit, making their demise inevitable, as if he predicted their fate from the very start. He then mentions the weight of unfinished business, a long shadow stretching back 20 years, hinting at a past filled with unresolved conflicts and profound losses, confirming his return is tied to much more than just these minor skirmishes. Close-up reveals his face, etched with a triumphant, confident smirk, a clear sign of his self-assured might, and perhaps a touch of his old, slightly arrogant ways. With effortless power, Soh Wol smashes through massive boulders, sending stone fragments flying into the air as he carves a path through the landscape, the earth trembling under the sheer force of his blows. He stands amid the newly created rubble, his stance firm, declaring his intention to destroy every single one of his enemies who dares to cross his path, his words echoing with chilling finality. Jo Gi-young kneels, clutching his chest in obvious pain, his face contorted in shock and disbelief at the raw display of power he just witnessed, hardly believing such devastation is possible. He grits his teeth, eyes narrowed with fierce determination, deciding then and there that he must eliminate the reborn warrior before the man becomes an even greater, insurmountable obstacle. The camera pans up, revealing a peaceful night sky filled with twinkling stars, framed by the silhouettes of leaves swaying gently in an unseen breeze, as the world seems to breathe quietly after the recent destruction. But back in the dark forest, Baek-yeon, an ally, sprints desperately through the dense trees, her breath coming in ragged gasps, pushing her body to its limits, driven by an urgent mission. As she runs, she recalls the precise orders to wait at Yeonam, a small town at the entrance of Mount Light, knowing she must reach it swiftly to regroup. The forest leader shouts for her to hurry, as she'll return with the vice commander soon. It's quite the urgent situation. Baek-yeon stops abruptly on the path, her eyes wide with a sudden, palpable fear, as she senses an unseen presence lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, she is surrounded by a hail of weapons, forcing her into a desperate fight, as she deftly deflects the attacks and yells urgent instructions to unseen comrades. The fight has definitely come to her. She promises to return with the vice commander, her words a defiant oath amidst the chaos, signaling her intent to bring reinforcements to this sudden skirmish. But will she truly survive long enough to reach the vice commander before the enemy strikes? Ninjas charge forward with swords ready, shouting orders to prepare for battle, as tension fills the air around the green mountain peak. Another ninja yells at his comrades to get ready, his eyes wide with alarm as he spots a fast-approaching threat, closing in on their position near two prone bodies. A blurred figure rockets through the air with incredible speed, heading straight for the startled ninjas. Soh Wol drops from the sky like a meteor, angling his body for a brutal landing right into the enemy formation. He crashes down, creating a massive crater and sending shockwaves through the earth, throwing ninjas backward and disorienting them with his sheer power. Standing tall amidst the dust and debris, Soh Wol's face is a mask of fierce determination as he eyes his opponents, ready to tear through them all. He launches into a whirlwind of attacks, his movements blurring as he deflects swords and strikes down foes, the clang of metal filling the air as he carves a path. A wild grin spreads across his face as he punches straight through one ninja's guard, clearly enjoying the mayhem. From high above, we see him standing alone, surrounded by countless fallen ninjas he's wiped out single-handedly. He faces off against the last remaining ninja, now exhausted and defeated, as the fight's tension finally starts to fade. Dozens of ninjas are sprawled across the rocky ground, a testament to Soh Wol's brutal efficiency and leaving no one standing. With his work done, he turns to the captured figures, offering to escort them to safety, as day breaks over the landscape. Back at the coalition base, a grand multi-story command building stands tall amidst the trees, where the commander is receiving updates. One subordinate walks with a slight limp, acknowledging his ankle is irritated but insisting he's fine, a clear sign the mission took its toll. The same subordinate reports to the commander, placing a captured flag on a table, marking one person and one flag returned. The commander looks confident, reassuring his troops that they'll succeed on this 10th and final day of the mission, boosting morale despite the looming deadline. Suddenly, someone shouts that they're here, and the commander quickly turns, a hopeful expression crossing his features as he realizes reinforcements have arrived. The bearded man's face fills with stunned delight, his eyes wide in disbelief and relief, clearly welcoming their allies' return. 4 warriors finally return, proudly holding captured flags, and salute the commander, having completed their dangerous mission. The commander warmly waves off their formalities, telling them there's no need, and orders them to relax and get some much-needed rest. He claps one of the returning warriors, Li Baum, on the shoulder, congratulating him, and Li Baum replies that they all did well, sharing the credit. Another warrior asks about Hayek's whereabouts, noticing a key member of their group is still missing, tempering the joy of their return. Concern washes over the commander's face, the mention of Hayek's absence clearly worrying him as he looks off into the distance, lost in thought. Bika stands by the table, her grip tight on the sword, worried too as the vice commander's fate weighs heavy on everyone's mind. What a party pooper. The heavy silence breaks as Do-won steps forward to reveal the truth. The storyteller begins to speak gravely, sharing the grim fate of the Dan Gak bloodline, a heavy tale of tragedy and loss stretching over generations. Close-up reveals intense, fiery red eyes belonging to the concealed daughter, burning with a chilling intensity that cuts through the dim light. She suddenly sprints down an empty dirt road, her movements urgent and panicked as the trees blur past her in a desperate dash into the unknown. Then she screams a name into the forest, a sound filled with desperation and terror that echoes through the trees, a desperate cry for help. Meanwhile, 2 men argue at a doorway about a lost wager, their voices rising in frustration as Jo Gi-young mocks his companion's cautious bet. The informant, Do-won, rejoices in a forest clearing as people appear, owing him money, clutching his hands together in glee as he anticipates his earnings. And so Jin lands in a combat stance, her twin weapons drawn and ready, arriving with a desperate urgency, prepared for whatever danger awaits. Close-up shows Jo Gi-young's expression, stern and focused, his eyes fixed intently ahead, ready for whatever challenges lie before him. And so Jin's face registers pure shock and disbelief, her eyes wide, as the sight of the approaching figures leaves her gasping in surprise. The camera pulls back to show an imposing multi-tiered headquarters building at night, a picture of power and victory illuminated by the sky. Inside, Jo Gi-young addresses her directly, showering her with high praise for her efforts, expressing immense admiration and pride. Our hero receives public recognition, explicitly named for exceeding all expectations, standing acknowledged for her outstanding work. And so Jin, in profile, admits that success was never guaranteed, thinking somberly about the risks they all faced. She further acknowledges the immense effort required from every single person just to survive, crediting the team's unity as their true strength. The feast hall erupts in raucous laughter, filling the air around trays laden with delicious food, his hearty laughter joining the joyful noise. But the storyteller collapses against some bars, completely winded and utterly terrified, gasping for air and reliving the trauma of the chase. Li Baum is announced as the savior who appeared at the critical moment, his heroic entry drawing all eyes, and the exhausted storyteller gazes at him with starstruck awe, while Han So-jin declares instant love. Onlookers react with confusion, bewildered by the sudden romantic declaration, their faces showing a mix of surprise and amusement. Later, on a night balcony overlooking the courtyard, Jo Gi-young stands silently, arms crossed, sensing something amiss and brooding about unresolved issues. A wide shot shows him standing apart from the celebrating group on the balcony railing, observing the distance between himself and others. And so Jin explains she isn't accustomed to festive occasions, declining social inclusion modestly, as she just isn't used to such joyful gatherings. He then lectures her, imparting strategic wisdom that these kinds of events are crucial for solidifying alliances and building camaraderie. He makes a provocative, dark remark about drawing a line between the elite and the dregs, sounding like a harsh, class-based joke. He then casually smirks, revealing it was all meant as a joke at her expense, clearly enjoying her reaction. She confronts his insensitivity, expressing her offense that he would joke about such a serious hierarchy, a boundary he shouldn't have crossed. With an audible sound effect, she abruptly storms away, promising to return soon, her anger clear as she makes her exit. His labored breathing echoes through the dark as he hurries through the terrain, approaching a secret meeting spot clearly in a rush. The informant greets him, urgently requesting a status report on the girl, needing to know what's happening immediately. Silhouetted against the pavilion light, Han So-jin listens, unseen, spying from the darkness, clearly suspicious of his clandestine meeting. The informant then voices his core concern, questioning her trustworthiness and reliability, harboring doubts about her allegiance. Yet the peace is shattered when a hooded figure watches the Peng clan fortress from afar. Jo Gi-young stares wide-eyed as he whispers, "How did you?" The sheer shock hits him hard. He peeks cautiously from behind a wooden door, deciding the immediate area holds no further clues, so he moves on to find another vantage point. This whole operation feels like chasing shadows, honestly. The guard climbs a wall with precise movements, while our guy deduces the secret transport of boxes must mean something terrible, and he spots a shocked face in the distance, knowing their discovery is grave. In a dark interior room, Jo Gi-young refuses to stay silent about the horrifying use of corpses, even if his companion, Yancey, seems uncertain about the consequences. The distressed informant struggles with the gravity of exposing such a powerful organization, fearing what might happen if they reveal the truth. He specifies a timeline for discretion, asking his companion to keep the secret for at least a few days or a week at most. The informant's face shows his uncertainty as he considers the dangerous request, weighing the risks against the need for justice. On a dark forest path at night, our hero's silhouette suggests they go alone, bypassing official channels and the commander. He explains that large groups are too slow and obvious for this kind of mission, arguing for the tactical advantage of a small, agile team. His female warrior companion objects, stating the Peng clan is a major power, and they need a solid justification for their actions. As they walk on a stone path, Jo Gi-young reminds her of his prior warnings to always be prepared for anything. Her intense reddish eyes react to his reminder, showing a fierce determination as she processes his words. Jo Gi-young walks ahead, his back to us as ominous text warns of the hardship to come. His female companion acknowledges the immense difficulty, bracing herself for what lies ahead. He tells her that she needs to find her own answer, offering her agency in this dangerous quest. The female warrior stands in silent resolve, her profile showing her commitment. A solitary robed figure stands in the mist as Jo Gi-young delivers final mission orders, telling her that following him will bring the answers they seek. His female companion calls out to Mu-yeon, recognition and concern in her voice. He commands her to change clothes and bring her sword, signaling that the time for talk is over and action is imminent. He challenges her trust, testing her loyalty and commitment to their shared cause. Her determined reddish eyes show her acceptance, unwavering in her resolve to face whatever comes next. Meanwhile, in a desolate, snowy wasteland, Ha, cloaked in red, bows low, arriving at a grim headquarters to deliver an urgent report. A subordinate blocks his path, ordering him back to his post and denying an audience with the master. Real dignified stuff. Ha reports that he personally battled Soh Wol days ago, describing the intense encounter to the subordinate. In the desolate expanse, Ha explains that Soh Wol destroyed the Serpent's Blood sect and is far stronger than anyone thought. The white-haired master or their subordinate reprimands Ha for leaving traces and failing to kill the target. Ha shouts back, desperate to justify himself, claiming he doesn't seek forgiveness but acts only out of concern for their collective safety. Terrifying, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes looms behind the red-cloaked man, a clear threat of impending judgment. The white-haired master sits on a high throne, contemplating whether to allow events to unfold, whether intended or unintended. The master declares they must show their enemies that any attack will result in far greater losses for them. A strong message needs to be sent. Yet the tension surrounding Ha only intensifies as the true scale of the crisis begins unfolding. Commander Lee Jeom learns his vice commander has vanished, leaving everyone completely baffled. His subordinates confirm the vice commander isn't in his quarters, though his clothes were found there, deepening the mystery. The commander processes this unsettling news, realizing the vice commander has been gone since the previous night. A messenger holds up a folded paper, a crucial clue found in the absent officer's room. The paper reveals the trail leads straight to the infamous Peng clan, and the commander admits he has no idea what his subordinate was thinking. His subordinate is stunned by the coincidence, as he himself has new orders related to the Peng clan. He states that the leader of the coalition has specifically ordered him to go to Hebei's Peng clan. He explains that the orders were vague but clear on one thing: he must comply. The gravity of the situation settles on Lee Jeom. This mission is for the coalition's sake, a heavy burden. He asks when the subordinate will depart, his face etched with worry. Under the pale moonlight, the messenger runs off into the night, sound effects marking his swift departure, leaving the commander alone. Soh Wol pushes forward, running through tall grass under the dark sky, with Han So-jin struggling to keep pace beside him. His serious expression scans the surroundings, always vigilant, ensuring their escape remains undetected. Han So-jin is visibly exhausted, gasping for air as her body screams for rest. Our guy stops, suggesting they rest, but Han So-jin, ever stubborn, insists she's fine despite her labored breathing. She sits on the ground, clearly spent, while Soh Wol stands nearby, observing the moonlit landscape. He thinks about her brave but futile claim of being well, knowing the toll this escape takes. The warrior acknowledges they haven't rested at all since their hurried departure, a grueling journey for both of them. His thoughts drift to a past failure, a painful memory haunting him, as he realizes their path leads them directly into a dangerous situation. Close-up of Soh Wol's face shows the deep regret in his eyes, as he laments his past inability to change things. He flashes back to a younger version of himself, facing a wild attacker in a brutal confrontation. The red-cloaked warrior prepares to strike, his body coiled with power as he engages in fierce combat. A massive impact sends debris flying everywhere, a testament to the raw power of the clash. More debris rains down as the fierce battle continues between the brawler and the quick swordsman. The memory fades, leaving our warrior back in the present moment, his gaze sharp and tired. As the sun begins to rise, Han So-jin stirs awake, startled to find Soh Wol already standing and calmly watching over her. Yet elsewhere, Peng Woo-young lingers on the shadows of the past with a heavy heart. Peng Woo-young, a clan mentor, is talking about the upcoming training as he guides Jo Gi-young through the familiar brick buildings, their voices echoing through the courtyard. Young disciple, with a bright smile, hints that he might extend his stay here, saying he wants to learn more about the other clan members and their unique temperaments. The mentor's face turns serious as he tells the young man that the true clan style isn't learned through conventional methods, which makes his eyes widen in shock as the deeper meaning hits him. Now an empty stone cell, seen from above, hints at past struggles, and the sound of their footsteps echoes unnervingly loud in the sudden silence. From a high angle, the two figures appear small and vulnerable as they move down a long prison corridor, with towering stone walls closing in around them. Jo Gi-young turns to his guide, questioning why he's been brought to such a dark place, and asking for an explanation for this strange detour. Peng Woo-young, with his back to the viewer, shares some heavy news about his brother, and the weight of his words just hangs in the air. More chains lie scattered on the cold stone floor, their metallic clanks echoing through the silence, each link telling a grim story of confinement. The chains on the floor lead ominously to a pair of bare, bound feet, revealing the prisoner and bringing a moment of profound recognition to the young man. Peng Woo-young confirms the prisoner's identity with a serious expression, his voice quiet but firm, as the truth settles heavily between them. And we see the full view of Peng Duchen, the legendary Tempest Blade, chained and sitting in his cell, his once powerful form tragically constrained. The clan elder softly speaks the name Peng Duchen, giving full voice to the tragic figure before them, a name that carries heavy weight. Jo Gi-young's face fills the frame in an extreme close-up, his eyes wide with the full realization of who stands before him. Peng Woo-young then delivers a stark moral about ambition gone wrong, explaining that excess training caused his brother's downfall because he wanted to conquer all of Zhangyuan, not just Hebei. His brother's bound feet are shown, a stark image of ambition's cost, as the elder explains his training became all-consuming. A flashback shows him relentlessly training on wooden posts, then striking a massive stone steel and destroying it alone, unyielding despite attempts to stop him. The young man reacts with shock to the unfamiliar term, cultivation hysteria, clearly taken aback by its severity and trying to grasp what it really means. With his back to the bars, Peng Duchen hears his brother's name spoken, and it instantly triggers a violent reaction, piercing through his madness. He roars, "I'll kill you," his face contorted into a feral expression, entirely consumed by fury, a man clearly lost to his mind. Peng Duchen throws his body violently against his chains, with impact effects showing the force of his struggle as he crashes against the iron, rattling the cell. Close-up shows a wrist in a heavy shackle rattling loudly, echoing the man's despair, as young disciple watches from behind the bars with a concerned expression, witnessing the tragic aftermath. As they walk away together, Peng Woo-young speaks of the painful necessity of his actions, justifying his decision to imprison his brother, a heavy choice he clearly carries. He clarifies that his motive wasn't to seek pity, but to reveal the dark realities of their world, wanting Jo Gi-young to understand the true costs of power and ambition. Jo Gi-young's profile shows him sensing something in the air, then he softly utters the words blood force, a phrase that seems to hold a deeper meaning for him. The young man's face shows surprise, an exclamation mark above his head, as he steps out into the open sky and verbally apologizes, the fresh air feeling almost alien after the oppressive prison. In a wide shot, the elder dismisses the apology, signaling that no offense was taken, seemingly understanding the gravity of what his young companion just witnessed. Facing each other, Jo Gi-young promises his guide silence, vowing to keep what he's seen a secret, understanding the clan's need for discretion. He resolves to protect the clan's reputation, a commitment etched on his young face, as the weight of the secret now rests heavily on his shoulders. Jo Gi-young bows respectfully as the clan elder takes his leave, marking the end of their somber tour, an encounter that has clearly left a lasting impression. The young man walks away, ascending steps carved into the rocks, the weight of his new knowledge settling upon him, carrying a secret that will change his perspective. In a serious close-up, the elder delivers more news, his face grave with implication, as the arrival of new guests could mean anything, and his expression hints at danger. This heavy silence weighs on Jo Gi-young, casting doubt on the tragedy haunting Peng Duchen. True expert shouldn't fall to cultivation hysteria from overtraining, the elder brother explains, so it makes no sense that Peng Duchen, a true master, would be afflicted by it, which Jo Gi-young knows a skilled cultivator like Peng Woo-young would understand. He considers this, realizing the official story just doesn't add up. How could a true master be struck down by something so basic? As Zhou Guiyang processes this, a disturbing thought takes hold. Peng Duqin was imprisoned without any real investigation, suggesting a larger, more sinister plot. His companion continues, speaking about the prisoner's supposed madness and how even his own family turned against him, trying to justify it as a necessary evil. Our guy's eyes widen as he considers the possibility that this imprisonment was an elaborate act, a hidden, calculating plan behind the whole charade. He vividly remembers Peng Duqin's screaming face, vowing to kill Peng Wuyang, the raw, desperate energy chilling him to the bone. Zhou Guiyang focuses, sensing a genuine blood force in the old man's scream, confirming his suspicions that this wasn't mere insanity but real power. His elder brother tries to calm the situation, insisting that the prisoner's threats are just nonsense from a madman, but Zhou Guiyang knows better. That conviction was too real. Elsewhere, a brazier glows warmly in a nighttime pavilion as Squire Peng monologues, confident everything is going according to his grand scheme for the Peng clan's rise. Squire Peng turns sharply as Zhang announces his presence, the sudden interruption breaking his flow, clearly annoyed at the company. Zhang complains good-naturedly that he would have brought ale if he'd known everything was fine, and the squire acknowledges him, his expression remaining stern. Zhang sits across from him, explaining he originally planned to observe from afar, but the leader summoned him to deliver a serious message. The squire states that the leader only sent Zhang because he cares deeply for the Peng clan, framing his presence as protection against troublemakers from the Chinso Dan. In a dramatic close-up, the squire declares that the Peng clan will be the starting point of the Blood Sky and that Zhang will take the lead. Zhang accepts the mandate to lead the charge, acknowledging his new role in the massive undertaking of expanding from Hebei to Zhangyuan. Squire Peng confidently sips his drink, asserting that the Peng clan will become the most powerful force in all of Zhangyuan. His ambition knows no bounds. Meanwhile, Zhou Guiyang is struck by a terrible realization. The Peng clan is backed by the Serpent's Blood sect, having covertly smuggled bodies, revealing their horrifying criminal activities. He walks through a garden path, his mind racing as he calculates the immense risks of exposing this plot immediately. One wrong move could mean disaster. A look of distress crosses his face as he realizes he can't act rashly without endangering his entire sect, feeling paralyzed by duty. Under the full moon, Zhou Guiyang wonders if Yang sent word, longing for backup, explicitly wishing for Soh Wol's presence, needing a trusted ally. Suddenly, a noise makes him spin around, his hand instinctively going for his weapon, on high alert, sensing danger in the quiet night. He moves in a dynamic blur, drawing his sword mid-motion, ready to strike at whatever threat awaits with swift, precise movements. Silhouettes flee across the rooftops, and Zhou Guiyang wastes no time, sprinting after them, determined to catch whoever is lurking in the shadows. He scales a wooden wall with incredible speed, pursuing the fugitives relentlessly, no obstacle stopping him from getting to the bottom of this. His sword clashes against a dark opponent's weapon, sparks flying in the night, and he demands they reveal themselves, wanting to know who dares challenge him. He recoils from a sword point, the impact jarring him, realizing he's facing someone skilled, someone who can actually keep up. Then he sees her. Soh Wol stands in an aggressive stance, her sword leveled, and he recognizes his ally, a moment of surprise mixing with relief. Soh Wol appears beside him, confirming their reunion and telling him they finally found him, then leans against the wall, asking if the old man, Master Soh Wol, didn't tell him about this. Turns out, he didn't. Soh Wol turns his gaze away, leaving the lingering confusion to settle in the silence. Soh Wol stares ahead, his mind racing as he plans his next move carefully. Real dignified stuff. He meticulously plans their approach, stressing the need for stealth as they aim to slip in while an old man is away from his post, and his team listens intently, understanding the mission's gravity. As they prepare to move, Soh Wol suddenly raises her voice, halting the team, her urgency suggesting something critical has been overlooked. Their tactician then reveals a dark secret. A large number of preserved corpses have been stockpiled in the very location they plan to infiltrate, and the sheer number of them is unsettling. He is directly asked if he knows about Jie Jiangxi, a name that clearly fills him with dread, and the question hangs heavy in the air, hinting at a terrifying answer. A chilling image of a powerful, stitched-up corpse, a Jie Jiangxi, is then shown, confirming the horror of these reanimated bodies, which are clearly not just ordinary dead. The tactician sternly declares that the practice of creating these Jie Jiangxi is strictly forbidden, without any exceptions, as this isn't just an evil act, it's a profound violation. They learn that a hostile faction operating outside Zhangyuan is not only creating these forbidden weapons, but actively deploying them, turning their mission into something far more dangerous. Soh Wol's face contorts in panic as the full weight of this threat crashes down on him, and the scope of their enemy's power is now undeniably vast. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Li Jian barks orders demanding ale, food, and women for his men, a display of casual authority. His subordinates bow low, accepting the demands without question, and they scramble to fulfill his every request. Suddenly, a spy on the rooftop reports that an assassination team has been spotted gathering nearby, and the calm facade shatters instantly. Another subordinate quickly confirms the alert, readying for confrontation as the tension in the air becomes palpable. The boss, Peng Wu-young, shouts that the blood force belongs to them alone, his voice booming with possessive fury as he will not tolerate any challenges. He then erupts in anger, insulting anyone who dares to even think of taking what he considers his fists clenching, betraying his rage. Back on a rocky stream bank, Jo Gi-young warns his team that acting too hastily could lead to a massacre of the Chinso-dan, as the stakes are too high for recklessness. The group decides to discreetly inform their members and then wait for a signal, as their strategy requires careful coordination and patience. Jo Gi-young voices his serious doubts, wondering if they stand any chance against the most powerful warriors of Hebei, his concern written all over his face. The tactician reassures them, stating that just having the evidence might be enough to prevent a direct conflict, and proof could be their greatest weapon. He then reveals their backup plan. The Yang Chindan will arrive under the guise of arresting deserters, a clever cover for their intervention. Jo Gi-young looks confused for a moment, and the tactician playfully accuses our guy of leaving a telltale note behind, and she looks genuinely surprised. With the promise of reinforcements, Jo Gi-young feels a surge of hope, realizing they are not alone in this fight, and the added strength changes everything. The top priority is reaffirmed. First, confirm the existence of the bodies and then locate Peng Duchin. Everything else follows that. Under the glow of the moon, final farewells are exchanged. Each be careful carrying the weight of their dangerous mission, as the night hums with unspoken tension. Soh Wol warns him to be careful, her concern evident in her voice, and he smiles, telling her not to worry. He then leaps with incredible agility onto the roof tiles, the impact echoing softly in the night, and the moon illuminates his silent ascent. As he moves, Soh Wol reminds him that actual proof of their enemy's collusion with the Peng clan is vital, as they need concrete evidence. The silhouettes of him and Soh Wol quickly disappear into the dark forest path, leaving nothing but whispers in their wake, fully committed to their perilous infiltration. Yet beneath the canopy, the shadows hide secrets that neither Soh Wol nor he suspects. They've found it, the underground storage Woon spoke of, a crucial discovery that sets Soh Wol and his companion on a dangerous path. The two huddle close to the hidden entrance, his hand gesturing for them to prepare, knowing that what lies ahead could shake the foundations of the factions. Our hero and his friend inch closer, the darkness of the entrance swallowing them whole, but it's not the darkness that catches his attention. A strange, cloying smell hits him, signaling a deception far more sinister than he could have imagined. He recognizes the faint scent of incense, a detail that clicks everything into place as the puzzle pieces fall together to reveal a gruesome truth. The incense wasn't for ritual. It was a desperate attempt to mask the overwhelming odor of decaying flesh. He understands now that they've stumbled upon something truly horrific. He pulls back a covering, revealing a shocking pile of bodies, their sheer number sending a jolt through his companion, and the grim reality of their situation is laid bare before them. Soh Wol meticulously inspects one of the corpses, his fingers tracing the neck, noting the unsettling absence of any wounds or marks. This isn't just a mass grave, it's a staged horror, a chilling masquerade. His eyes then fall upon a cluster of tools nearby, stained with crimson, each one crude and designed for torment. He immediately understands their purpose, his face hardening with a chilling realization of the true nature of the place. Suddenly, the silence shatters as a guard captain bellows, his booming voice echoing through the chamber, enraged by his men's desertion, revealing they're not alone. The captain's eyes narrow, instantly recognizing Soh Wol as the man Woon Hyan had warned him about, understanding the true threat before him. The guard captain lunges with a desperate cry, but our hero is too fast, effortlessly deflecting the attack and slamming the man to the ground in one swift, brutal motion. Real dignified stuff. He presses his advantage, his grip tightening around the captain's throat, making it clear that any lies will be met with severe consequences, as the guard captain's life hangs by a thread. He demands answers, pointing out the crucial lack of dark energy on the bodies, a telltale sign that these aren't true Jiangxis, but something far more insidious. The guard captain, gasping for air, frantically claims ignorance, stammering about only following orders and doing it for the money, showcasing that the true villainy is higher up the chain. The martial artist tightens his hold, his voice a low growl as he presses the choking man for the name of the true mastermind, making the guard's eyes bulge in a desperate struggle to confess what he knows. Later on a quiet forest path, Soh Wol explains his deduction. The bodies weren't meant to become true Jiangxis, but merely to simulate their creation. It's a cunning act of deception, a false flag operation. He reveals the true goal, to frame the Peng clan, making it appear as though they were engaged in forbidden practices, thereby manipulating the coalition into destroying them in a high-stakes political gambit. Our hero gravely predicts the fallout, stating that the destruction of the Peng clan would inevitably fracture the entire virtuous Murim faction, plunging the region into chaos with catastrophic ripple effects. With a grim set to his jaw, the martial artist resolves to intervene, explicitly mentioning Peng Duchin, signifying his unwavering commitment to protecting his allies and preventing further bloodshed. The path forward to reach Peng Duchin is already being blocked by those standing ahead. The guards stand firm at the gates, their orders clear. Deny all visitors, but no one seems to know who gave those orders. Real dignified stuff. Inside, Peng Duchin, the clan's true lord, bound by chains and severely weakened, reacts to hearing his name after so long. While outside, guards note that refreshments have just arrived from the squire, making the captain's face contort in shock at the impossible situation now unfolding before them. A large guard lies slumped and still on the prison cell floor, his body evidence of a swift, silent intrusion into the fortress. He explains how the offer tempted him with the dream of his clan becoming the strongest power in all of Zhangyuan, making him consider the proposal. However, he reveals that he discovered the true, sinister identities of those who made the offer and decisively refused their treacherous deal. An enraged Duchin shouts that their prestigious clan was handed over to these enemies, lamenting that he was poisoned and left in this pathetic, weakened state. Bik Ah-yon, the woman by Han So-jin's side, suddenly recalls that the name Blood Force was mentioned during previous discussions, connecting the dots of who they're really up against. Han So-jin absorbs this chilling revelation with a grim, determined expression, the full weight of their enemy now clear and demanding action. Elsewhere, the guard captain recoils in horror, having just learned that the specialist, a key member of his security, is dead, confirming his worst fears. The captain realizes with dread that intruders are already inside their compound, his carefully laid plans now in chaos and dissolving before him. He bellows, ordering all his men to arm themselves and hunt down the mysterious intruders immediately, throwing the compound into a frenzy. 3 men, including the captain, run through the compound with their weapons drawn, ready for a fight, searching for the unseen enemy. An overhead view shows the full scale of the compound, with search teams fanning out across the extensive grounds in response to the alarm. Runners patrol the narrow walls between buildings, their sharp eyes scanning for any sign of movement, hoping to catch the intruders. A wide shot of the compound reveals a building with a signal fire now burning brightly on its rooftop, sending a message out into the night. Inside, characters notice something happening outside, their attention drawn by the sudden light, wondering what it means. One of them questions if this is the signal Han So-jin had mentioned, a sign their plans are in motion and things are going according to schedule. From a covered balcony overlooking the courtyard, Peng Wu-young observes the Peng clan headquarters bustling with activity in the night, the warriors moving en masse. A red-robed figure beside him notes that the warriors seem to be searching for someone, their movements frantic and uncoordinated. Wu-young gives the command to send the signal to the assassination team, unleashing his hidden forces into the fray. Back in the prison cell, Duchin despairs, convinced there is no hope left for his clan, with everything seemingly lost. Han So-jin counters his despair, asserting that only Peng Wu-young and his immediate followers are truly complicit in this betrayal, not the whole clan. She insists that the rest of the clan is merely deceived by the traitor, unaware of the true danger lurking within their ranks. With grim determination, Han So-jin vows to return the clan to their righteous path, her resolve silent but firm as she looks toward the future. Meanwhile, figures run urgently through the dark forest path leading to the compound gate, their footsteps barely disturbing the quiet night, closing in on the action. A close-up reveals a face contorted in shock and dismay, realizing the danger has arrived, just as predicted. The group walks through a corridor, recognizing that the Chinso Dan, another dangerous faction, have also arrived, adding more players to this chaotic night. With an ironic twist, Han So-jin declares that these new enemies might actually protect them from the internal conflict, creating a strange alliance. Despite her bold words, an internal worry flickers across her face, doubting if such an unlikely protection will truly suffice against all threats. Enemy warriors appear at the corridor's end, radiating a menacing blue lightning, ready to strike, proving her worry might be justified. But before the blades can draw blood, Jo Gi-young confronts the coming storm head-on. Jo Gi-young, the skilled martial artist, tells Squire Peng to step aside or face dire consequences, and the older man, head of the clan, erupts with absolute fury at the audacity of this young upstart. He doesn't stop there, revealing that they know about the bodies being moved, and the cover-up of the investigation has been exposed, leaving Squire Peng with no easy answers. Our hero then offers proof, a chance to see the cult leader who is truly behind it all, challenging the clan master to look past his own anger and see the truth. Instead of reason, Squire Peng draws his sword, which crackles with electric blue energy, making his decision one of pure violence. The young challenger simply calls the older fighter a fool for his refusal, knowing full well what's coming next. He quickly instructs Han So-jin, his ally, to leave with the hostage Peng Duchen once the fighting starts, making their safety a priority even in this deadly confrontation. Squire Peng raises his crackling sword, vowing that no one will leave this place alive as his anger completely takes over. Jo Gi-young stands ready, eyes fixed on his opponent, preparing himself for the deadly dance that's about to unfold. The clan leader leaps through the air, his sword held high, aiming for a decisive strike with surprising speed for his age. His descending blow generates shockwaves as it rushes towards Jo Gi-young, the sheer power behind the attack undeniable. The younger fighter, however, delivers a heavy hit to the older man's torso, making him recoil from the impact, clearly not expecting such resistance. Jo Gi-young shouts at Han So-jin, commanding her to run immediately with the captive now that the fight has truly begun. And So-jin quickly drags Peng Duchen away, moving down the hall and out of the immediate chaos, managing to escape the danger zone. The red-haired woman worries for Jo Gi-young, knowing how powerful their opponent is, fearing he might be outmatched. Our hero, however, dismisses her concern, telling her to worry about herself instead, remaining confident even in the face of such a formidable foe. He then powers up, blue energy manifesting in his hand, acknowledging that he might have underestimated his opponent but is ready to rectify that mistake. Squire Peng realizes the challenger has real skills to back up his boldness, understanding this isn't just some fool, and the fight is far from over. The clash begins in earnest, a high-speed dance between sword and empty hand, with impact sparks flying as they exchange powerful blows. Jo Gi-young smirks dismissively at the older fighter's efforts, showing he's still got tricks up his sleeve and clearly enjoys getting under his opponent's skin. Real dignified stuff. Squire Peng yells as he begins a complex sword form, the Tiger Gate technique, pulling out his best moves now. Multiple sword strikes converge on Jo Gi-young's position, a relentless and precise flurry of steel. The clan master grins wildly, pressing his advantage as the technique lands, believing he has the upper hand. Squire Peng swings down with maximum force, calling out the name of his finishing move, Soul Reaver, an attack meant to end the fight. But Jo Gi-young precisely leaps aside, barely dodging the death blow, the powerful attack missing its target by mere inches. But far away from the arena, Soh Wol urgently shouts for them to move. Soh Wol, the martial artist, urgently shouts for them to move, his voice a strained whisper as they try to navigate the tight passage, knowing they're exposed and running right into a trap with no other way out. He leans heavily on Jo Gi-young, who helps him through the narrow corridor as the air crackles with unseen energy and the sounds of pursuit close in. Then Jo Gi-young hears a familiar voice, and surprise flashes across her face as she realizes they are surrounded. Real dignified stuff. She briefly exchanges words with her companion, assessing their desperate situation right outside the prison, before Young Jun, their antagonist, appears, his face contorted in fury as he barks orders for his men to attack. Gray-robed warrior, one of Young Jun's men, exclaims in shock, finally recognizing Soh Wol and halting their advance. The warrior then has an internal moment of clarity, realizing his mistake. He had initially thought our hero's companion was the female warrior, giving them a brief opening. The injured martial artist steps forward, his voice steady despite his weakened state, and asserts his true identity, demanding his enemies recognize his voice. Young Jun formally acknowledges his opponent as Master Peng Duchen, the title carrying a heavy weight of past respect and current betrayal. The villain then challenges his old master's mental state, bringing up rumors about him suffering from cultivation hysteria to undermine his credibility. The master firmly denies being afflicted by any such condition, his eyes burning with defiance as he stands his ground. He warns everyone not to listen to Young Jun, but Young Jun, ignoring the plea, points a furious finger at him, accusing him of hysteria and murder. Soh Wol then reveals a deeper plot, explaining that the squire simply wanted to protect his own reputation by hiding a far darker truth. His intense face closes in on Young Jun, calling him out by his given name, Young Woon, making the confrontation even more personal. Soh Wol directly accuses him of being a pawn of the blood cult, throwing a damning accusation that stuns everyone. The gray-robed warrior expresses confusion, the mention of the blood cult clearly unsettling him and his comrades. Young Jun fires back, accusing the former master of killing innocent people and labeling them as blood cult members, attempting to flip the narrative. He continues to question his old master's sanity, loudly declaring that he is not right in the mind, to invalidate everything he says. Young Jun laments that someone once expected to be the strongest has fallen so low, his words dripping with false pity and genuine contempt. Soh Wol, pushed to his limit, furiously insults Young Jun, calling him a bastard as his anger boils over. Jo Gi-young, seeing that diplomacy has utterly failed, interjects to end the futile negotiations, knowing words won't solve this. Young Jun, now desperate, orders his men to seize her specifically and to abandon his old master, thinking he's found a weakness. As multiple warriors charge forward, swords drawn, yelling dead or alive, the protagonist makes her move, determined to carry out young Jun's orders. Jo Gi-young swiftly draws her sword with a sharp, metallic sound, the weapon flashing in the dim light, ready for the incoming onslaught. She leaps high into the air, launching an aerial assault downward onto the charging enemies with fluid, precise movements. One gray-robed warrior looks up in awe, momentarily stunned by her incredible speed, barely able to process her lightning-fast descent. Her first strike lands with brutal efficiency, a sickening thud followed by a scream and a spray of blood, delivering swift justice. A warrior's face then contorts in shock and intensity, his eyes wide as he recognizes her sword style, completely unprepared for it. The protagonist then takes a dynamic sword stance, her form perfectly balanced, her weapon held ready, with motion lines hinting at her immense power. A gray-robed warrior, enraged, screams, "You bitch!" as he swings his sword down at her, fueled by anger and a need for revenge. Blades clash in a fast exchange, sparks flying and metallic screeches filling the air as she parries his desperate attack, deflecting his blow with effortless grace. And that's where Chapter 50 leaves us. With her crimson eyes burning, Jo Gi-young unleashes her full power, promising a bloody confrontation and a shocking display of skill that will undoubtedly alter the fate of all present.